Chapter 681. Xiao sat down quietly and said softly, "I'm a god of the heavenly realm. Restricted by the laws of the divine realm, the gods of the heavenly realm are not allowed to enter the ghost's domain. This is an order set hundreds of thousands of years ago, so I can't break this order. This time, I can only send you into the ghost's domain. As for how to find Xiaoyin, it's up to you." "Don't worry." Lin Muyu nodded, her eyes full of determination. "You're a god of the lower realm, so you're not restricted by the order of the divine realm. However, if you meet the 3 ghost emperors in the ghost's domain, it's best to avoid them. They're very strong, so you must be careful." Beside her, Tang Xiaoxi looked at her and asked, "Sister Xiao, can I go with Mu?" "Oh, why do you want to go?" Xiao looked at her with a smile. It was probably because Tang Xiaoxi killed Qin Yin, which caused great harm to Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, so Xiao didn't have a good impression of Tang Xiaoxi. She said, "You killed Qin Yin. I don't need to remind you, do I? I'll bear the consequences of my own actions." Tang Xiaoxi said softly. "No need." Xiao said, "If you want to make up for your guilt towards Qin Yin, you'll have plenty of opportunities in the future. But this time, only you can go alone, because I can only send one person into the ghost's domain at a time. Otherwise, the loss of divine power will be too great. It's not something that can be replenished by refining the spiritual qi of the divine realm." Lin Muyu said, "Shao Shi, stay in this plane and wait for me to come back. If you really feel guilty, wait for Xiaoyin to come back and tell her personally. Let me finish this matter alone." Tang Xiaoxi stood there silently. Her heart was in a mess. She wanted to make up for the mistake she had made, but no one gave her the chance. Chu Yao gently hugged Tang Xiaoxi's shoulder and said, "Shao Shi, listen to you. We'll just wait here quietly for his return. Moreover, after you leaves, there will be no one to manage the situation in Lingdong and Tongtian provinces. You are the princess of Fugua. You should stay and manage the situation. This is what you should do." Tang Xiaoxi nodded. "I know I will. Mu, you must bring Xiaoyin back. As long as she is willing to forgive me, I will do anything." "No, it won't be that easy for Xiaoyin to come back." Xiao broke Tang Xiaoxi's dream and said, "This trip to Ghost Domain is only for you and Xiaoyin to meet, but it won't change the process of Xiaoyin's reincarnation. I think you must want to see Xiaoyin, and Xiaoyin also wants to see you. If we forcibly bring Xiaoyin out of Ghost's domain, she will just be a soul without a body. Sooner or later, her soul will turn into ashes. Only after crossing the 6 realms and attaining enlightenment will she be able to reconstruct her divine personality and body." Tang Xiaoxi was stunned and didn't know what to say. Lin Muyu took a deep look at her, held her shoulder, and said, "Shao Shi, if you want to make it up to Xiaoyin, then help her guard the mountains and rivers that belong to her, okay? After you were abducted to the Devil Clan, the Demon Clan in the Forest of Infinity has been out of the control of the Empire. They have repeatedly harassed the Empire's garrison in the Demon Suppressing Pass. You still need to go to the peace of the Western region. Only when you go, Ling Hu Yen and others in the Forest of Infinity will yield to the control of the Qin Empire." Tang Xiaoxi nodded gently. "I will move. You must be careful when you go to Ghost's domain. Come back alive to see me and Sister Chu Yao." "I know. Then, let's get ready to go." Xiao smiled faintly and said, "The gate of Ghost's domain will open at midnight, but before that, we have to find a place of extreme Yin so that we can cut through the bit wall and send you to Ghost's domain." "A place of extreme Yin?" Lin Muyu was stunned. Chu Yao and Tang Xiaoxi were also at a loss. A place of extreme Yin was rarely heard of. At this moment, Sidusen's voice came from outside the door. "Your Highness, there is a mass grave 10 miles southeast of Tongtian City. It is said that ghosts often appear at night. That place should be regarded as a place of extreme Yin. Have you been eavesdropping?" Lin Muyu asked. "Oh, I'm just passing by. I'll take my leave now." Xiao chuckled and said, "Then let's go. We'll find that mass grave and wait until midnight to cross the bit wall." But Lin Muyu once again asked Chu Yao and Tang Xiaoxi to stay behind to take charge of the situation and then left Tongtian City with Xiao. Lin Muyu went first. After breaking the void, she was already 10 miles away from the city, while Xiao quickly broke the space wall and followed Lin Muyu's aura. Under the setting sun, the two flew side by side over the jungle, looking for the mass grave that Situ Sen had mentioned. After nearly an hour, they finally found it. It was a densely packed grave, about 2 or 3 miles away from the nearest village. Most of the poor people in Tongtian City, as well as those who died in the war, were buried here. Lin Muyu floated to the ground. She shook her palm gently and spat out a soft force, shattering the bodies of 2 wild dogs that were tearing apart a rotten corpse not far away. A dignified god actually spends her energy on this kind of place. Xiao smiled faintly. With a flip of her palm, raging flames burned the rotting corpse into ashes. She raised her palm, and a gust of wind blew, instantly turning the corpse into ashes. Although Xiao was the ruler of the life law, she was also well versed in the power of the other laws. Most God Emperor level experts had this ability. Lin Muyu sat down on a rock under a vigorous old pine tree, pulled out the star's sword, and carefully wiped it. Xiao sat at the side with interest and said with a smile, there should be a story behind this star's sword, right? Lin Muyu nodded. Back when I was in Lanyan City, I followed an elder to learn the imperial sword technique. This star's sword was his favorite collection. Later on, the Iha country was in turmoil and they snatched this sword away. They also killed my teacher and cast his soul into the sword to become the sword's soul. This is the origin of this sword. Oh, Xiao nodded and said, although the God realm has established the order of the 3 realms, the human realm is still in constant war. Many living beings are suffering from the chaos of war. It seems that we gods can only enjoy the incense offered by the living beings, but we can't do anything for the human realm. Lin Muyu smiled and asked, Xiao, how long have you ascended? Counting carefully, it has been 3,000 years. Xiao smiled and said, why are you suddenly asking me about this? Big sister of 3,000 years. Lin Muyu held back her laughter and said, tell me what the God realm is like? Xiao said, the God realm is just a saying. In other words, it is just a spatial plane with abundant spiritual energy. The God realm is also known as the myriad realms and stars. The gods travel through it happily. The myriad realms and stars are divided into the east, south, west, and north star regions, which are ruled by 4 supreme god emperors. The east heaven is currently controlled by the demon emperor. There are nearly 1,000 god emperors, more than 10,000 god kings, and countless supreme gods. The east heaven has more than 4,000 planes under its jurisdiction. The shattered cauldron realm where you are and the earth where you were originally from are 2 of the planes. The gods of the heaven realm rely on the power of faith in the planes to absorb divine power and control the 3 realms, but they can't do anything about it. There are more than 4,000 planes like the shattered cauldron realm. Yes, this is still considered a small number. There are at least 30,000 such planes in the 4 great celestial realms. Outside the 4 great celestial realms, there is the even more vast heaven beyond heaven. It is said that there are many prehistoric ancient gods there, but we still don't know about it. The gods who went to the heaven beyond heaven have never returned. As she spoke, Xiao flipped her hair and her eyes were full of yearning. She said, it must be a paradise, right? Paradise? Lin Muyu smiled meaningfully. It is probably a world where the strong prey on the weak? What do you yearn for? Xiao asked with a smile. I want to find Shaoyin and live my current life. Or I want to live in seclusion in the mountains and plant peach blossoms and pear blossoms. I want to stand aloof from worldly affairs and cultivate in peace. Xiao actually felt slightly yearning for it as well, and the corners of her mouth curled into a happy smile as she said, hearing you say that, even I feel so envious. It's just that, there doesn't seem to be anyone that's willing to give me such a life. Truthfully speaking, I'm slightly envious of little girls like little Yin and little Shi. Why are you jealous? Lin Muyu said in a self-deprecating manner. I can't even protect the woman I love. Sometimes I feel that I am really useless. What do you mean by useless? Xiao's beautiful eyes narrowed as she said, how old are you? You stepped into the God realm at the mere age of 34 and cultivated the 20th layer of heavenly abode. Even in the entire divine world, there aren't many who can do that. Humph, you're still not satisfied. When I was your age, I was only a saint realm. Is that so? Lin Muyu looked at Ziyao's appearance and said, Sister Ziyao, when you stepped into the saint realm, you were 25 at most. Looking at your appearance now, you should have entered the immortal state long ago. Fusatsu, I only stepped into the saint realm at the age of 29. Ziyao pursed her lips and said, If it wasn't for my natural beauty, I am afraid I would be an old woman by now. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. Brat, what are you laughing at? Ziyao was really acting like a big sister. Lin Muyu smiled and said, Tell me your story. Sister Ziyao, what were you like in the past? In the past? Ziyao recalled and said, I was born on a deserted planet. That plane was very polluted and monsters ran amok. When I was 7, my parents were killed by monsters. Later, I cultivated with my uncle and he taught me martial arts. Then, when I was 20, my uncle was killed by a monster during a hunting mission. After that, things became clear. I stepped into the saint realm at the age of 29, stepped into the immortal state at the age of 62, and became an emperor god 1,000 years later. I defeated all the monsters in that plane with my own strength and was worshipped as a goddess. After that, my family and friends grew old and died one by one. I got bored and ascended to the immortal state. Lin Muyu, why aren't you talking? Ziyao murmured. Lin Muyu smiled and said, You look gentle and weak, but in the past, you were a queen and a tough woman. I was just in a daze to show my respect. Ziyao smiled and said, You are quite interesting. No wonder you are so popular with girls. Is that so? Yes. Ziyao looked around and said, Start a fire and roast some food. You may not be able to have a good meal after you go to Ghost's domain. Before that, you should rest up. Chapter 682. As night fell, a bonfire crackled and burned in the mass grave. Although Lin Muyu was not very hungry, he still grabbed a roasted rabbit and gnawed on it. He also knew that the food in the ghost realm could not be eaten by mortals and gods. Even if it was food carried in the cosmos sack, once taken out in the ghost realm, it would immediately be stained with the aura of death. No one knew what would happen if they ate it. Ziyao held a branch in her hand and slowly fiddled with the firewood. With a peaceful expression, she said softly, I have to ask you one more time. Don't be annoyed. Say it, Ziyao. Lin Muyu put down the roasted rabbit and looked at Ziyao with bright eyes. The ghost realm is also known as the Yellow Springs of Hell. After you enter the ghost realm, you should be above ground, the legendary Fengdu. Below Fengdu are the 18 layers of hell. Needless to say, you should know what these 18 layers of purgatory are for. No matter good or bad, as long as you die, you will definitely undergo the test of the 18 layers of purgatory. Only then can you decide where you will go. After you pass through the 18 layers of purgatory, there will be many paths waiting for you to choose, but you must remember to stay away from the Nether Springs. The Nether Springs is the end of all life. Anyone who enters the Nether Springs, regardless of whether they are ghosts or gods, will completely disappear. What you need to do is very simple. Find Qin Yin and send her into the Well of Reincarnation. Well of Reincarnation? Remember, stay away from the Nether Spring and avoid the claws of the 3 great ghost emperors. In addition, you have to be careful. Although you are a god, the ghost realm only belongs to ghost immortals and not gods. A lower realm scattered god like you will be suppressed by the aura of death in the ghost realm. At most, you can only use 70 to 80% of your power, so you must be careful. I understand. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said in a low voice, I will be careful. Sister Ziyao, don't worry. Quickly finish your food. It's almost time. All right. After eating the rest of the rabbit meat in 2 or 3 bites, Lin Muyu clapped his hands. His heart was filled with nervousness and anticipation. He was nervous because he was about to enter the legendary underworld, and he was looking forward to seeing Qin Yin again after 5 years. He really missed her too much. It was late at night, crows were circling and cawing in the sky. The entire mass grave was filled with ghastly flames, and from afar, there were creepy wails and howls that made one's hair stand on end. However, Lin Muyu and Xiao were both brave people. One was an emperor god while the other was a hierarch. Even ghosts were afraid of them, so why would they be afraid of ghosts? Lin Muyu circulated his divine power, and golden light covered his eyes. Instantly, he could see the ghosts and spirits in the graveyard around him. They were all spiritual bodies, and there was nothing to fear. They could only scare mortals. He looked at the ghosts and said in a low voice, "Why are you entrenched here instead of reincarnating as soon as possible? Are you waiting for someone to come and collect it?" The group of ghosts trembled and knelt on the ground. "Please spare us, exalted goddess. Once the earth gate opens, we will immediately disperse." Xiao looked up at the starry sky. It was almost midnight. She said, I am preparing to open the passage to the ghost realm. You have to be careful, understand? I will not return to the heavenly realm for now. I will wait for you here. Once I am sure you are safe, I will go back." "Alright, thank you, Xiao. You are welcome." Xiao looked ahead and took a step forward. Her boots stomped on the ground, and suddenly, a golden ripple surged out, blowing away the fallen leaves and dust. She slowly raised her arm, and divine power lingered around her. A total of 96 divine waves surged crazily, and with a muffled poof, the wall of the plane was opened in front of her. Inside, there was a dense ghostly aura, and blood-red lava splashed everywhere. It was the ghost domain of hell. "How dare you!" Inside the crack, a few ghost soldiers holding spears shouted, "Who are you? How dare you open the earth gate without permission? Do you want to be captured by the ghost soldiers? You must be tired of living." Xiao's body flew up slowly. Her dress fluttered without any wind. Her body was surrounded by the power of the 96 grotto heavens. She looked at the other side of the crack and said, "What did you say just now? Do you dare to say it again?" When the ghost soldier saw that it was a god emperor, he was immediately scared out of his wits. He hurriedly threw away his weapon and knelt on the ground, shouting, "God, spare me, spare me." This lowly one had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. "Please spare my dog life." "Get lost." "Yes, yes, yes." The group of ghost soldiers threw away their helmets and armor and fled. Xiao looked at Lin Muyu and said, I can only help you this much. Hurry up and go. The rest of your journey depends on you." Lin Muyu leaped in, and the moment she passed through the plane, she felt an intense burning pain all over her body, as if a layer of her skin had peeled off. Sure enough, the ghost realm was different from the human realm, and her divine power could not be fully unleashed in the ghost realm. With a whoosh, she was already in the ghost realm, and the spatial crack behind her quickly closed up. The roar of the ghost dragon leader's mount came from afar. Lin Muyu quickly landed and hid in a patch of red grass. She hid herself first and then went to find Qin Yin. She used her divine power and spread the spiritual pulse technique. There was no better way to find Qin Yin than this. But after a while, Lin Muyu's heart was filled with despair. The detection radius of the spiritual pulse technique was 50 miles, but she could only sense groups of wandering souls, ghost soldiers, ghost dragon leader, ghost servants, and so on. She couldn't feel Qin Yin's aura. It was reasonable to say that Qin Yin still retained her memories of the past. Her aura should also be preserved. There was only one answer. The underworld was too vast. It seemed that Qin Yin was not in this area. Xiao had said that Qin Yin was being chased by the ghost dragon leader in the ghost domain. Perhaps this was a clue. Immediately, Lin Muyu made up her mind to find out where the chaos was in the ghost domain. Perhaps she could find where Qin Yin was. If it didn't work, she would create a commotion herself to attract Qin Yin's attention. He leaped up and flew into the distance like a meteor. Countless ghost soldiers and ghosts raised their heads one after another, but they only saw a figure. As for who it was, they had no way of knowing. However, to be able to fly unhindered in the ghost domain, he must not be an ordinary person. His strength was definitely above the leader of the ghost dragons. After all, the leader of the ghost dragons needed a dragon to fly, But this person was amazing. He could fly in the air and did not look like a mortal. Who is it? On a ground covered with desolate bones, two ghost dragon leaders were resting. When they looked up, they saw a person flying past. One of them immediately got up and mounted the dragon's back. He said, "Someone has broken into the underworld. Go and report to the Lord. I'll go capture that kid and meet up with you immediately." But do you King want to take all the credit? Dong Chao, I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Shueba, you idiot. Why are you haggling over every little thing? If you want to take the credit, you can go after him. I, Dong Chao, will go and report to the Lord. Dong Chao raised his long whip, which was flashing with lightning, and said coldly, "I won't fight with you for the credit." Shuebai immediately cowered. He touched the scar on his face and recalled that this scar had been left behind by a person who had intruded into the underworld over 500 years ago. He said, "Very well, I will report this to His Excellency. You must follow closely behind him. Don't let that brat slip away. Otherwise, if His Excellency pursues this matter, I won't be able to stop you." "Humph, I don't need you to tell me." Dong Chao suddenly pulled the reins and shouted, "Let's go. Follow me to chase that kid." The ghost dragon roared, spread its wings, and rushed into the distance. It opened its sharp mouth as if it was going to eat people. In the blood-red night sky, Lin Muyu flew with her hands behind her back. Because she had to use the spiritual pulse method to search for the aura, she didn't fly very fast. But soon, Lin Muyu sensed that someone was following her. She glanced at it from the corner of her eyes and found that it was a ferocious ghost dragon leader chasing after her. What a fearless guy! When he flew closer, Dong Chao raised his bright whip and cracked it in the air, shouting, "Boy, who are you? How dare you trespass into the ghost realm? Do you know where you are? Didn't you say it yourself? This is the ghost realm." "Bah!" Dong Chao waved his whip, which was flashing with lightning. He said with a hideous smile, "Do you think the underworld is a place that you can come and go as you please? You are just an individual immortal from the mortal world. How dare you come to the ghost realm to court death? I, Dong Chao, will let you know what it means to break into the hell instead of the heaven." As he said, Dong Chao raised his whip, and a ray of light full of lightning and ghost power lashed at Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu didn't underestimate her enemy. She quickly unsheathed her star's sword and slashed at Lin Muyu. A bright light rose in the air, and the starlight appeared. Bang! Sparks flew in all directions. Dong Chao's arm was numb from the impact, and he almost lost his grip on the whip. When he looked up, he saw a handsome face less than a step away from him. Lin Muyu smiled. Her fist was filled with the dark energy of the chaos of the lives, and it landed heavily on Dong Chao's shoulder from the air. With a loud sound, Dong Chao felt that his entire shoulder was no longer his. He was beaten so hard that he felt dizzy. The ghost dragon also whined and fell down with its master. Bang! They fell into the green fluorescent river in the jungle, splashing the water. Dong Chao drank a few mouthfuls of water embarrassedly and stood up. He pointed at the sky and cursed, "Boy, who the hell are you? Do you want to die by coming to the ghost realm?" Lin Muyu couldn't help laughing. "I don't have time to argue with you. Don't follow me anymore, or I'll kill you." "Don't be arrogant." Dong Chao's saliva splashed and he cursed loudly, "F***CK. Don't be arrogant. Where do you think this is? This is the underworld, the ghost realm of the three realms. There are 101 ghost lords under the 3 ghost emperors, 1,000,000 ghost dragon leaders under the ghost lords, 10 million ghost soldiers under the leader, and hundreds of millions of ghosts under the ghost soldiers. I tell you, you are dead." When Dong Chao was about to curse again, he looked up and found that the boy in the air had already flown away. He clenched his fists, and the anger on his face was replaced by complacency. "Humph, you left so fast. I knew you were afraid." Chapter 683. Kiki. As she flew, a ball of fiery red energy rushed over from afar. When Lin Muyu focused her eyes, she realized that they were birds. However, these birds were not as docile as the birds in the mortal world. They were nightingales with blood-red eyes. They spread their wings and charged at Lin Muyu with unstoppable force. It was likely that they had sensed the aura of a living person on Lin Muyu's body. These bloodthirsty nightingales seemed to have gone mad. Lin Muyu raised her hand and pulled out her sword. With a gentle flick of her wrist, sword sparks appeared in the air and swept out like a meat grinder. In the blink of an eye, dozens of bloodthirsty nightingales were reduced to minced meat and feathers that fell from the sky. From the looks of it, the defenses in the ghost underworld did not rely entirely on the ghost dragon leader. There were also these wild monsters. After a round of fierce attacks, Lin Muyu recovered her breath. At this moment, her spiritual perceptions suddenly felt a ripple. There seemed to be someone arguing in front of her. She immediately accelerated and tore through the air like a bolt of lightning. There were only a few clumps of withered grass on the blood-red ground that was filled with desolate bones. There were countless ghosts trapped in soul-restraining cages standing to the side. There were dozens of ghost soldiers escorting them on the road to the underworld, but at this moment, the ghosts were no longer moving. The ghost soldiers raised their weapons and killed the disobedient ghosts on the spot. When the spear pierced through the spirit body, it was like being burned by fire and electricity. The ghosts screamed miserably before turning into scattered spirit light. Lin Muyu frowned and leaped down from the sky. At the instant she landed, she activated her god's domain. An invisible force enveloped the surroundings, preventing the ghosts and ghost soldiers from moving. "Who are you?" a ghost soldier leader asked with a trembling body. He could feel the rich aura of the young man who had descended from the sky. Lin Muyu did not answer him. Instead, she asked, "What's going on here? Why is it so noisy?" "It's just a few disobedient ghosts." "Who are you? Who allowed you to enter the ghost underworld?" The leader of the ghost soldiers sniffed and said, "You have the smell of a living person on you." "Are you a living person?" Lin Muyu suddenly pressed the blade against his chest and said, "Answer me, what's going on here?" The leader of the ghost soldiers looked miserable. "I've already answered. It's just a few disobedient ghosts. Please spare my life." "I won't dare to do it again." Lin Muyu coldly glanced at him, then looked at the group of ghosts. The faces of these ghosts were extremely ugly. Just like ghosts, it was quite scary. Luckily, Lin Muyu had a secret art, so she wasn't worried about this. These ghosts should be afraid of her, so she asked, "I'm asking you guys a question, what's going on here?" A white-haired ghost cupped his hands and said, "Young hero, one of us didn't want to reincarnate into the animal realm, so he struggled to escape and become a wandering ghost. In the end, he was killed by this ghost soldier. So that's how it is." Lin Muyu turned to look at the leader of the ghost soldiers and said, "Why can you kill people at will?" According to the rules of the ghost realm, every ghost soldier can punish and kill less than 100 little ghosts in a day. "Young hero, please spare my life. I am just following the rules. In the 3 realms, only the ghost realm can accommodate 3 souls and 7 spirits. We have to accept more than 100 million ghosts every day. If they are disobedient and unwilling to move forward, they will disturb the order of the road to the underworld. If the ghosts stop moving forward, there will be countless ghosts lingering in the ghost realm and not entering the cycle of reincarnation. This is a big deal." Lin Muyu frowned and didn't say anything. She rose from the ground and flew into the distance. The group of ghost soldiers and ghosts looked up and were stunned. "Is this a human?" the white-haired old ghost asked. "It doesn't look like it. People can't fly." Another old ghost took a deep breath and said, "This is a god, a living god. I didn't expect that I, Yangchuan, would see a living god after wandering in the ghost underworld for so long. Bah, what bullshit god, he will die sooner or later." The ghost soldier leader said disdainfully, "I've been on duty for tens of thousands of years, but I've never seen a god who trespassed into the ghost underworld come out alive. This kid's godhead will most likely become the sacrifice of Lord Ghost Emperor. Just wait and see, he dared to trespass into the ghost underworld alone, he is courting death." Not long after, a group of ghost dragon leaders whizzed past. There were as many as 20 of them. Among them, there was a general wearing golden armor who was flying in the air. His armor was shining, and his face was filled with killing intent. He suddenly stopped in the air. The general looked disdainfully and asked indifferently, "Brats, did you see a God Realm kid flying past here?" The Ghost Soldier leader hurriedly knelt down and said loudly, "Greetings, Lord Ghost Emperor. That kid just left here half an hour ago and flew towards the east." Good. Lord Ghost Emperor smiled faintly, "Men, come with me. I will use this kid's head as a sacrifice to the hundreds of millions of souls who died in the underworld." Beside him, Dong Chao pouted angrily and said in a low voice, "His Excellency, you're talking nonsense again." Shui Ba glared at him and signaled him to stop talking. The Ghost Dragon leaders followed Lord Ghost Emperor and flew into the distance. Below them was a dense army of ghost soldiers. Although these ghost soldiers could not fly, they could walk on mountains and rivers in the ghost underworld as if they were flat ground. Their speed was not much inferior to that of the Ghost Dragon leaders. Once this army caught up with them, Lin Muyu would probably be doomed. That kid is dead." The Ghost Soldier leader said proudly, "Lord White Flame is personally chasing after him. Even if this kid has wings, he will not be able to fly out of Lord Ghost Emperor's palm. Just wait and see." The group of ghosts trembled with fear and did not dare to speak. After flying for nearly an hour, they still could not find Qin Yin. They could not even find a trace of Qin Yin's aura here. Not long after, Lin Muyu suddenly stopped flying. Her eyes were attracted by a broken bridge. Next to the broken bridge was Meng Pe, who was stomping her feet and cursing angrily. A group of ghost soldiers dared not say a word after being reprimanded. On the other side of the bridge were countless ghosts waiting to drink Meng Po's soup. That is, Lin Muyu looked at a ditch in the river under the bridge. The mark was in the shape of a hexagon. That was the mark of the attack of the celestial dragon crystal. Qin Yin had appeared in this water. Thinking of this, Lin Muyu was ecstatic. He jumped down like a sharp arrow. The wind blew over Meng Po and the other ghosts. At this moment, Lin Muyu almost completely ignored this group of people in the ghost underworld and flew along the water. The water was cold, but Lin Muyu could actually feel a trace of the aura of Qin Yin here. The grass by the river was also filled with spiritual fragments of the celestial dragon crystal. Yes, Qin Yin was here. He was excited and flew along the river. But at this moment, suddenly a tyrannical aura descended from the sky. It was a lord wearing golden armor, White Flame. "Brat, do you still want to be so arrogant?" White Flame roared, waved his palm, and a blood-red energy wall appeared in front of him. Lin Muyu was caught off guard and directly hit it. Bang! A strong rebound came from the energy wall, and unexpectedly, Lin Muyu was forced back. Although the energy wall dissipated at the same time, it was enough to prove the strength of this lord. His body spun rapidly and stopped on the water. Lin Muyu looked at White Flame and said, "Who are you?" White Flame sneered, "I am the lord of this area. Or you are just a lower realm scattered god, but you can actually break the wall leading to the ghost underworld. You are really not simple. Brat, do you know what the consequences of trespassing in the ghost underworld are?" "What is it?" You really dare to ask." White Flame looked up and laughed wildly. His eyes shot out endless killing intent and said, "It is to be thrown into the soul refining pool. Your flesh, soul, and godhead will be refined together to create a delicious bowl of soul refining soup for the Ghost Emperor to enjoy." "Get out of the way, I still have something to do." Lin Muyu slowly pulled out the star's sword. Her divine power surged, and a golden light enshrouded her body. White Flame couldn't help but shiver, but dozens of ghost dragon leaders surrounded him together, and thousands of ghost soldiers rushed over like a tide. He immediately felt confident and laughed. "Even if you have something important to do, you have to wait. Brat, you trespassed into the ghost underworld. Don't think about getting out alive. Obediently surrender." "Dream on." Lin Muyu's figure instantly left the place and turned into a bolt of lightning that bombarded White Flame Lord's body. The light of the stars soared into the sky. Impressively, a swift and violent 5 mountains heaven fell on White Flame Lord's body. Layers of divine waves turned into boundless destructive power that attacked the opponent. The power of the 20 heavenly caves was almost completely released in an instant. Ah! White Flame groaned miserably. Caught off guard, he was actually sent flying by Lin Muyu's sword and crashed into the river. He stood up awkwardly. The golden armor on his shoulder had been melted by the star power. He couldn't help but fly into a rage out of humiliation and said, "Bastard, how dare you hurt me? You're simply courting death. You seem to have forgotten whose territory this is." Lin Muyu didn't say anything. She just wanted to end the battle quickly. Without waiting for White Flame Lord's power to fully recover, her figure shot out like lightning. The light on the long sword was bright, and suddenly, she launched 3 fierce attacks. First appearance of the stars, 1 luminous chaos, 3 luminous calamity. The 3 fierce attacks greeted him together. Suddenly, White Flame Lord was seriously injured again, and his body floated away like a fallen leaf. White Flame didn't expect that Lin Muyu's attacks would be so continuous and so ruthless. And Lin Muyu didn't feel good either. After all, this was the ghost underworld. Everywhere was filled with the aura of death. The divine power in her body had begun to be somewhat unable to continue. Moreover, when White Flame's palm wind blew across her body, it caused the blood and qi in her body to become chaotic. It seemed that she had seriously injured White Flame, but in fact, she wasn't feeling good either. This guy hurt His Excellency. Go kill him. In the surroundings, a group of ghost dragon leaders waved their long whips and rushed over. Chapter 684. The rules of the ghost path were the same. The 3 ghost emperors were the supreme beings, and His Excellency was second. The consequence of offending the ghost emperors was naturally the worst in the ghost realm. In the face of the siege of a group of ghost soldiers, Lin Muyu calmly responded. The golden light of the supreme divine power on the stellar sword flowed slowly like a tide. With a sudden shake of his arm, he launched the raining sword with fire. The long sword turned into a spiral storm and killed the group of ghost soldiers. He waved his iron fists and shuttled through the crowd. Each punch was a fierce flame storm. After smashing dozens of ghost soldiers into pieces, he disappeared in the dark road of hell in the blink of an eye. No one knew where he had gone. Bai Yen held the melted armor on his shoulder and the charred flesh below, and said with resentment on his face, "Chase after him. No matter who this kid is, kill him on the spot. Ghost dragon leaders attack, spread the ghost sound net, and let this kid have nowhere to hide." "Yes, Your Excellency." A group of ghost dragon leaders grabbed the reins and urged the ghost dragon to rush into the sky. They pulled out the swords at their waists one by one, took out a shield from the back of the ghost dragon, and hit the shield with the scabbard of the long sword. Suddenly, a dense ear-piercing sound echoed in the air, like the cry of ghosts. Dozens of ghost dragon leaders launched the ghost sound net together, forming a large net that rippled in all directions. No one would have thought that there would be such a magical power in the ghost realm. In the night sky, the qi and blood in Lin Muyu's body were slightly surging. While forcibly suppressing the surging qi and blood with his divine power, he looked around with a face full of shame. The ghost realm was too big. Just the ground alone was already endless. It was difficult to find Qin Yin. His Excellency and ghost dragon leaders were aggressive. Even with at least 70% of his divine power, he was still in such a difficult situation. As a soul with only one breath, Qin Yin's situation must be even more bleak. Thinking of this, Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel anxious. He raised his strength and shouted at the sky, "Xiao Yin, where are you?" This shout didn't matter. As a god, his mental power was extremely penetrating. It directly formed a sound wave impact in the ghost realm, sweeping in all directions. Suddenly, the ghost soldiers, ghosts, and demons on the ground raised their heads and looked at the distant sky. No one knew whose voice it was, but they knew that someone was looking for a person named Xiao Yin. "He's there." In the distance, a group of ghost dragon leaders let out a sharp cry and urged the ghost dragon to fly over. So annoying. Lin Muyu's spiritual pulse technique sensed the rapid approach of the ghost dragon leaders, and it seemed that His Excellency White Flame had also come. Fighting one against many, he would be at a disadvantage after all. It was better to preserve his strength. With a flip, he turned into a sharp arrow and flew down from the sky. His figure disappeared into the grass that had been barren for tens of thousands of years. The ghost fire in the cave was faint, and the phosphorescence fluctuated up and down like floating lanterns. Fortunately, this cave was relatively dry, and there were no original residents, so it temporarily became a hiding place for Qin Yin to avoid the pursuit. Her face was very pale, and there was not much divine power left in the law of light in her body. If she encountered another 2 to 3 ghost dragon leaders, she would definitely be killed. Suddenly, an almost inaudible sound came from outside the cave, mixed with the sound of the wind. It seemed that someone was calling her. Although it was only a sound, it made Qin Yin tremble all over. That was Lin Muyu's voice. It must be him. For a moment, Qin Yin's heart was filled with mixed feelings, and her nose was sour. "Brother Yu is looking for me." She gently rubbed the ghost night grass on her face. She really didn't want Lin Muyu to see her in such a sorry state, but as a ghost cultivator, the ghost night grass was like maggots on a tarsal bone that couldn't be wiped off. The harder Qin Yin tried, the deeper the ghost night grass penetrated into her skin, until the crimson blood flowed down. Qin Yin couldn't help hugging her knees and crying, but the longing in her heart was uncontrollable like a raging tide. "No, even if I am like this, I must see him." Standing up, tidying up her white dress, Qin Yin flew out of the cave. But at the moment when she flew out of the cave, the voice of a ghost dragon leader sounded in the distant sky. "Qin Yin is there? The escaped ghost is there. Quick, inform the ghost soldiers to hunt Qin Yin." Tsk. The shrill cries of ghost soldiers came from all directions. These stooped ghost soldiers who emitted a rancid smell were the most common army in the ghost realm, but they were also very annoying, because there were too many of them. Damn it. Qin Yin's eyes turned cold. She identified the direction where Lin Muyu's voice came from and flew close to the ground. When thousands of ghost soldiers surrounded her, she had already launched her divine power. A celestial dragon crystal in her hand emitted a dazzling light and flew across the sky. With a poof, hundreds of ghost soldiers were smashed into pieces with just one blow. The power of the law of light was still so terrible after all. Moreover, the power of the people in the ghost realm was Yin, while Qin Yin's celestial dragon crystal was the essence of pure yang, which was refined from many blazing suns and stars in the universe. They were natural enemies. Even though most of Qin Yin's power was suppressed by the death qi in her body, she could still make the ghost soldiers suffer unbearably. Do you still want to resist? In the sky, the ghost dragon leader raised the whip with lightning flashing and lashed down, roaring, "As a ghost, why don't you surrender? Don't you want to be reincarnated?" Swish. The whip split the sky and fell like a sharp sword. Just as the whip was about to land on Qin Yin's back, she suddenly flipped over and clasped her palms together. The 2 celestial dragon crystals clamped down on the whip. The golden light shone on her delicate face, making her look extremely enchanting. However, at this moment, her beautiful face was filled with frost. "Don't go too far," she yelled. With a gentle wave of her arms, the invisible divine power formed a chain and directly dragged the leader of the ghost dragons down from the sky. Qin Yin's delicate body flipped over, and a snow-white long leg with a few exquisite celestial dragon crystals kicked the back of the leader of the ghost dragons. With a bang, the leader of the ghost dragons let out a muffled groan and fell into the wild grass together with the ghost dragons, looking extremely embarrassed. Phew! The group of ghost soldiers was stunned. Even the ghost dragon leader was almost killed by the little beauty in front of them. Wouldn't they, who were weak at fighting, be courting death if they went up? Soon, the group of ghost soldiers looked at each other, and no one was willing to go forward to fight with Qin Yin. This also surprised Qin Yin. She wondered why these ghost soldiers suddenly became so polite. Regardless, Qin Yin flew away and went straight in the direction where Lin Muyu's voice came from, but she didn't know that Lin Muyu had already left. The road to the underworld was vast, and countless ghosts were waiting for the next reincarnation, whether as humans, animals, birds, or never to be reincarnated. Under the ghost realm, there were 18 levels of purgatory, and countless ghosts were wailing in the bloody sea. Under the 18 levels of purgatory, there was a dead land with many gates in the ghost realm, including the soul refining pool, the hungry ghost cave, the netherworld spring, and the legendary well of reincarnation. That huge well led to the underworld, the heaven realm, and the immortal reincarnation. It was the only way for all reincarnated souls to pass through. However, new lives were constantly born in the three realms, so only a small number of ghosts who came to the ghost realm were lucky enough to enter the well of reincarnation and reincarnate. It was dark in the well of reincarnation. In the sky, the sound of the ghost dragon leader urging the ghost dragon could be heard. There were dozens of ghost dragon leaders in total, including an official in golden armor. They flew down solemnly and stood in front of a bronze gate in the well of reincarnation. The official walked forward respectfully, knocked on the door knocker, and said, "Your Majesty, something happened in the upper world." After a long time, there was no response. "What's going on?" The prefect whispered. The leader of the spectral dragons on the side whispered, "His Majesty the Ghost Emperor of the Five Directions has always been a lazy sleeper. The last time he slept for more than 400 years. He only woke up when the heavenly realm sent envoys. I wonder how long he'll sleep for this time. My lord, I think it's best if we don't disturb His Majesty the Ghost Emperor. Otherwise, we won't be able to afford to bear the consequences." "But," Abyssal Prefect furrowed his brows, "how can we allow a person with supreme godhead to invade hell and wreak havoc in our territory? Furthermore, that little girl, Qin Yin's soul still has a lot of divine power remaining. This matter should be reported to His Majesty the Ghost Emperor. If we don't, we'll really be neglecting our duty." "Then what should we do?" "Use the soul-destroying conch. If we don't use the soul-destroying conch, I'm afraid we can't wake His Majesty up." The spectral dragon leader took out a very strange-looking black conch, bent it like a bow, and blew into it. Suddenly, an extremely hoarse, ear-piercing sound of the conch echoed outside the bronze door. In the inner chamber of the well of reincarnation, 100-meter-long blood-red stone lay between heaven and earth. The stone was engraved with crimson runes. This was a soul-suppressing stone, a spiritual stone that could suppress any tyrannical ghost in the world. However, at this time, this incomparably precious soul-suppressing stone was actually used as a bed by a burly man, sleeping soundly on it. It was not until the sound of the soul-destroying conch came in that the burly man turned over, opened his arms, and stretched himself. Scratching his chest, he said impatiently, "Which bastard has eaten the heart of a leopard and has the guts to disturb my afternoon nap? See if I don't beat your guts out." He opened his eyes, and a pair of blood-red pupils were like sharp swords, as if they could see the truth of everything in the world. The Ghost Emperor of the Five Directions, one of the three rulers of the ghost realm. He cultivated the law of darkness and possessed the godhead of the law of darkness. At this time, above the ghost realm, on the ground of the mortal world, a figure floated into the mass grave near Heaven Connect City. It was Tang Xiaoxi, wearing a red tight skirt. Streams of flame divine power lingered around her body. After landing, she took a step forward for dozens of meters, and looked around with vigilance. She felt the residual aura around her. Yes, Lin Muyu's last aura was here. Chapter 685. Tang Xiaoxi shouted, and the flame between her fingers was like a sharp sword, about to pierce through the wall of the plane. But at this moment, a very quiet female voice came from the forest. "The hour is over. The passage to the ghost domain has been misplaced. What you will pierce through will not be the door to the ghost domain, but the dark ghost wall. Are you sure you can pierce through the world's most and softest dark ghost wall?" It was Ziyao. She had not left at all. Tang Xiaoxi was stunned, the power between her fingers dissipated, and she murmured, "Sister Ziyao." I have to go," Ziyao smiled. "Silly Xiao Shi, what can you do even if you go? If even you can't see Xiao Yin, can you see her if you go?" "I have to apologize to Xiao Yin personally, otherwise," Tang Xiaoxi nodded, looked at the desolate bones on the ground and said calmly, "Otherwise, I will live in guilt forever, unable to live with myself." Ziao walked forward, stroked Tang Xiaoxi's hair, and said with a smile, "It's okay, I will help you break through the dark ghost wall, but this favor is on you's account." But Tang Xiaoxi was confused. "Because he will definitely become a supreme god, and one day I will need his help." Creak! The bronze door slowly opened, and the sinister ghost body carved on the door was lifelike, as if it would jump out of the stone carvings at any time to devour everything. And at the moment the door opened, a chill spread out, and boundless dark power swirled around. Inside the door, a strong man was tidying up the blood-red pearl on his crown, and asked lightly, "Who blew the soul-destroying conch?" The ghost dragon leader who blew the soul-destroying conch hurriedly knelt down, and said in a trembling voice, "It's me. Your Majesty, something happened in the upper realm, or else I wouldn't have disturbed you." "Don't say anything about the upper realm. Eat my slap first." The ghost emperor of the 5 directions suddenly raised his hand and slapped the ghost dragon leader across the air. The ghost dragon leader slammed into the wall of the well of reincarnation, and a few of his front teeth fell out. It was a tragic sight to behold. The group of ghost soldiers knelt down, trembling all over. Who would dare to provoke the 5 ghost emperors when they woke up? At this time, the ghost emperor of the 5 directions stretched his body and looked at his subordinates with his blood-red eyes. "Your Excellency, can we talk now? What is going on?" Lai Yuan said respectfully, "Your Majesty, recently, the ghost realm has taken in a possessor of an overgod divinity who has entered the ghost Dao through reincarnation." Overgod spark? The ghost emperors of the 5 directions frowned. The person with the overgod spark was killed? What a joke! The person with the overgod spark was killed. Tell me, who is it that disgraces the dignity of the overgod spark? It's the Empress of the Shattered Cauldron Realm. Her name is Qin Yin, and she has the overgod spark of the Law of Light. She didn't want to drink Granny Meng's soup, so she broke the bridge of helplessness. She's being chased by the Ghost Realm's army led by His Excellency White Flame. Should we go take a look, Your Majesty? Go take a look. The Ghost Emperor of the 5 directions couldn't help but laugh. He waved his hand, and blood-red darkness divine power enshrouded him. I'm not just going to take a look. Don't forget the laws of the Ghost Realm. Any ghosts that try to escape are to be killed on the spot. Come, let's go take a look at how capable this Qin Yin is. That's right, Your Majesty, there's one more thing. What is it? The Ghost Emperor of the 5 directions flew into the air. Another brat came from the Shattered Cauldron Realm in search of Qin Yin. He has the Sovereign Spark and can control the 12 elemental spirit beads. He injured and killed many of our ghost soldiers. What? The Ghost Emperor of the 5 directions couldn't help but sway in the air. Then he fell to the ground. He was sweating profusely. Apart from the Sovereign Spark, there's also the Sovereign Spark? What the hell? That brat with the Sovereign Spark is a living person? Yes, he is. Since he's a living person, it's none of my business. Let the Ghost Emperor of the East Unicorn be busy. Yes. In a corner of the Ghost Realm's surface, caves covered the edge of the Ghost Realm like beehives. These caves were called nests and were the habitat of many ghost soldiers. If there weren't so many nests, the Ghost Realm wouldn't be able to support the army of 10 million. In a nest close to the southeast, 2 old ghost soldiers were cooking a pot of meat soup. The Ghost Realm was filled with death energy, so it was extremely difficult to eat a piece of meat. There was only a fingernail-sized piece of meat floating in the pot of meat soup. It was obtained from a wild boar, and it was also a reward for the 2 old ghost soldiers for their loyalty. What do you think a woman tastes like? The old ghost soldier in tattered blue clothes asked. Woman? The ghost soldier wearing the red cloth used a branch to stir the meat and wild vegetables in the soup pot. He pondered and said, Actually, I'm not very clear. I only lived to the age of 11 before I drowned. How could I have tasted the taste of a woman? What about you? The ghost soldier in blue laughed at himself. I was killed by something called a painless abortion before I was even born. All these years, I only grew up in the ghost realm. His Majesty the Ghost Emperor had already set the law that people in the ghost realm are not allowed to be licentious. How would I know what a woman tastes like? Sigh. Say, if we have the chance to go to the mortal world and have a taste of a woman, how great would that be? Our deaths would be worth it. You're already dead, so why are you asking for it? Besides, look behind you. The thick dark ghost wall is our prison. Unless you can break through the dark ghost wall, you can only stay here for the rest of your life. Do you think the people in the mortal world can break through the dark ghost wall? Stop dreaming. Mortals don't have the power to break through the dark ghost wall. Even gods can't do it. How can mortals see you do it? Come, let's drink the soup. Don't think about women. Desire is the dark abyss. We are ambitious youths of the ghost realm. We must not fall into the abyss, brother. You're still the one who knows right from wrong. You're worthy of being a well-educated scholar. I seem to have told you that I was born as a cowherd. I even herded a water buffalo. Otherwise, how could I drown at the age of 11? Speaking of which, I still miss my water buffalo. Its name is Chui Hua. At this moment, a hole about the size of a fingertip appeared on the rock wall behind him. Dark forces were twisting inside the hole, instantly attracting the attention of the two old ghost soldiers. What is this? Someone is breaking through the dark ghost wall? My God, how is this possible? It must be the gods of the heavenly realm coming to punish us. Mother of God, what is this? After a violent explosion, the hole in the dark ghost wall grew larger and larger. With a poochie sound, a blood-red claw swept across and actually tore the hole to a size of nearly 1 meter. A ball of raging flames surged in, and the next moment, a girl wearing a red wraparound short skirt actually flew out of the dark ghost wall. Behind her was a net-like space weaved by dark energy. It was precisely this net-like energy that caused Tang Xiaoxi to spend a full 2 hours to find the exit. But who are you? The two old ghost soldiers took a few steps back. The god-level power overflowing from Tang Xiaoxi's body almost suffocated them. Tang Xiaoxi looked at them calmly and asked, "Is this the ghost realm?" "Yes, who are you?" "My name is Tang Xiaoxi." Tang Xiaoxi was very easygoing. She asked, "Are you ghosts?" "Yo, two ghost grandpas, may I ask if you know of a girl called Qin Yin who came to the ghost realm?" "Qin Yin? Are you talking about that damned little girl with the sovereign spark? She killed many of our brothers." "She's my sister." The two ghost soldiers kowtowed with pale faces. "I'm sorry, we didn't see her with our own eyes. We only heard about her." "Where is she?" Tang Xiaoxi's eyes lit up. "She was chased by the ghost realm army. I don't know where she escaped to. She was in the west." Tang Xiaoxi floated out of the nest and pointed into the distance. "Is it that direction?" Hee, thank you ghost grandpas." Tang Xiaoxi was about to fly away. "Excuse me, little girl, are you a woman?" the blue ghost soldier asked hurriedly. "Yes." Tang Xiaoxi hesitated for a moment, but still answered the question. "All right, I have something important to do. Goodbye." Tang Xiaoxi left at lightning speed and fell into the distance like a flaming meteor. The two ghost soldiers were so frightened by the godly state expert's aura that they felt weak all over. They knelt on the ground and said, "That's a woman. Her breasts are so big. My life was worth it. Heaven realm, heavenly lake." The rippling lake reflected everything that happened in the ghost realm. When Tang Xiaoxi appeared in the ghost realm wrapped in firefox flames, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor couldn't help but frown. "Demon Emperor, the ghost realm seems to be getting more and more chaotic," Sun Feng said respectfully. "Yes." The 7 Brilliance Demon Monarch said, "Tang Xiaoxi is going too." Sigh, Zi Yao is too soft-hearted. Why must she send Tang Xiaoxi into the ghost realm too? I can't wait to see how it's going to end up. These guys are surely going to turn the ghost realm into a mess. If the 3 ghost monarchs come to ask for an explanation, they can just say that I'm in seclusion. Sun Feng frowned and said, "Then, is she in seclusion or not?" The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor raised his eyebrows. You're so nosy. Sun Feng. At the side, a green-clothed female god emperor-level expert with a slender figure and a delicate face smiled gently and said, Your Majesty, I can see that Lin Muyu is already in such a realm at the 20th level of Grotto Heaven. If he were to break through to the 99th level of Grotto Heaven, he would be on par with Your Majesty with his 7 luminaries' unique skill. Is that so? The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled faintly and said, Qing Ping, do you think 7 luminaries is my only trump card? Just wait and see, you'll soon be able to see my other peerless secret art. Your subordinate will wait and see. Qing Ping's gaze was gentle and she didn't seem to care at all. Chapter 686. The Crow County was a county city in the western part of the Seven Seas province. The Crow County city was not very big and could only accommodate 70 to 80,000 residents. Early in the morning, the county city was shrouded in mist, making it difficult for people to see things a few meters away. It had just rained in the winter, so the roads were wet and muddy. Passers-by were in a hurry, and the sound of their footsteps on the muddy water and the clanking of metal tools in the distance merged into one. The Harvest Smithy was one of the few smithy shops in the Crow County. The things they forged were nothing more than hoes, shovels, hunting knives, and other farming tools. Therefore, the name of the smithy was Harvest, implying that farmers could have a bountiful harvest and hunters could return with a bountiful harvest. In the smithy, an old blacksmith about 60 years old was smoking a pipe and taking puffs after puff. The wrinkles on his face overlapped like earthworms. His deep eyes were filled with helplessness and sighing as he looked at the young man who was hammering metal tools not far away. The young man was about 20 years old and was waving a heavy iron hammer with bare arms in the winter. Every strike was powerful, and those who were observant could see that his strong arms were surrounded by a thin layer of flame. At the same time, a small firefox martial spirit appeared on his shoulder, faintly discernible. Zong, is the hunting knife from the Liu family done? The old man asked loudly. It's almost done, Grandpa. Just give me another 30 minutes. Hurry, the Liu family will set off early in the morning. They need this knife. Yes, Grandpa. At this moment, the sound of hooves came from the mist. A group of people rushed through the mist and slowly rode their horses over. Among them, there were 2 people in luxurious armor, a man and a woman. The man had a calm gaze and the woman had a gentle expression. They both wore the emblem of the empire's purple yinhua on their shoulders, and it was a golden purple yinhua. It was obvious that they were nobles. Excuse me, is this Blacksmith Zhang's house? The female general asked softly. The old man immediately stood up and walked forward to bow respectfully. Sir, I am Blacksmith Zhang. What can I do for you? The female general hurriedly helped the old man up and smiled. Old man, you don't have to be so polite. I come from Lanyan City's Zetian Palace. My name is Suyu. Although the old man lived in the remote Crow County, he still knew the names of the 3 princes, 4 dukes, and 5 marquises. This beautiful middle-aged woman in front of him was the legendary Marquis Xining, Suyu. This commoner pays his respects to Marquis Xining. The old man hurriedly knelt down again. Suyu smiled faintly. Old man, you really don't have to bow. This person beside me is Prince Zhong, Qin Yan. Qin Yan. The old man was about to go into shock. So this youth was from the Qin family. Now, there were not many people who had the orthodox Qin family's bloodline. This youth looked peaceful and without any arrogance. He was actually one of the 3 kings, Qin Yan. Zong, silly boy, what are you still standing there for? Quickly kneel down and pay your respects to His Highness Prince Zhong. The old man loudly berated. The youth called Zong, hurriedly wiped his hands and kneeled in the mud. This commoner Zhang Zong pays his respects to His Highness Prince Zhong and Lord Marquis Xining. Qin Yan had already lifted Zhang Zong up through the air with a gentle force, saying, No need to stand on ceremony. The old man looked at the group of royal guards that Qin Yan and Suyu had brought and could not help but feel a little timid in his heart. He asked, Your Highness and the Marquis have come to find us? I wonder what's the matter. Elderly, you're scary. Su Yu smiled warmly and said, we just want to know, Zhang Zong. Who is his father? Zong Er's father. A venomous look flashed across the old man's eyes as he said, that heartless person never returned after staying at my house for a night. It was a pity that my daughter was always depressed after giving birth to Zong. She died of illness 3 years ago. Qin Yan was taken aback and said, elderly, is that heartless person a member of the Tang family? This. The old man hesitated for a moment. Elderly, don't be afraid. We'll take care of everything for you. You just have to tell the truth, Su Yu consoled. The old man nodded, not concealing the disgust in his eyes in the slightest as he said, later on, I found out that that person was a member of the Seven Seas Tang sect. He was the Seven Seas King Tang Lan's second son, Tang Jin. Humph. He died of illness 17 years ago. It's really retribution. Qin Yan said, elderly, are you really sure that person is Tang Jin? Absolutely. He left behind a piece of jade for my daughter. I took that jade to the Tang family's servants to see. It's precisely the Tang family's item. Where's the jade? 10 years ago, during the chaos of Lanyan City, the nation of Iha attacked Zetian Hall. Seven Seas City conscripted soldiers and levied taxes without restraint. I sold the jade. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for us grandfather and grandson to continue living. I see. Qin Yan muttered to himself. At this moment, a trace of panic flashed across the old man's eyes. He took a few steps back, hugged his grandson's arm, and said, Your Highness Prince Zhong, I heard that the Tang family rebelled. Tang Lan committed suicide. The entire Seven Seas Tang sect has already fallen apart. You're not here to find trouble with Zong, are you? He's still young and doesn't know anything. He's just a little blacksmith? Qin Yan couldn't help but be taken aback. Beside him, Su Yu said with a serious expression, elderly, the Seven Seas Tang sect did not rebel. His Highness the Seven Seas King, Tang Lan, even fought a bloody battle against the nation of Iha's rebel army in Hundred Ridge City. In the end, he died for his country. This time, we're here to search for the Tang family's bloodline. This Tang Zong possesses the Fire Fox martial spirit. He's undoubtedly a member of the Tang family. The old man was taken aback. Lord Marquis, could it be that you're taking Zong away? He's this old man's only support? There giggled. Don't worry, elderly. I've discussed it with His Highness Prince Zhong. We plan to have Tang Zong inherit the Seven Seas King Tang Lan's former title and confer him the title of Duke of Zhenbei. If Tang Zong is the Duke of Zhenbei, and you're his grandfather, you'll naturally return to Seven Seas City to enjoy your life. This. The old man couldn't react for a moment. He didn't even know what Duke of Zhenbei meant. A duke meant that Tang Zong would become the ruler of the entire Seven Seas City. He'd stand on equal footing with Zheng Yifan and govern the enormous Seven Seas province. Then, the old man was taken aback for a moment. He hurriedly patted Tang Zong's shoulder and said, Silly boy, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and pack up, then leave with His Highness. There's no need to pack. Qin Yan smiled slightly. Elderly, Seven Seas City has everything. Don't worry. You can just board our carriage. We'll reach Seven Seas City in 3 days. Thank you, Your Highness. Qin Yan took a deep look at Tang Zong and said, Tang Zong, do you know your identity now? Tang Zong lowered his head and was silent for a few seconds. He raised his head to look at Qin Yan's eyes and said, Your Highness, I know. I'm Tang Jin's illegitimate son, the only bloodline of the Tang family. No, you're wrong. There was some disappointment in Qin Yan's eyes as he said, Your true identity is Tang Xiaoxi's younger cousin. If not for Tang Xiaoxi, the Tang family would have long been annihilated 6 years ago. You wouldn't have been spared either. As he spoke, Qin Yan fished out an imperial edict from his bosom and tossed it to him, saying, Look carefully. This is the imperial edict conferring you the title of Duke of Zhenbei. It was personally written by Empress Qin Yin 6 years ago. Her Highness Qin Yin? Tang Zong was stunned for a moment. Ever since he found out about his identity, he kept on understanding the upper echelons of the empire. Naturally, he knew the stakes of Qin Yin's handwritten edict. In that case, could it be that Qin Yin already knew of his existence 6 years ago? Let's go. Qin Yin seemed to be somewhat tired. His brows were tightly knit as he pulled on the reins and turned around, walking shoulder to shoulder with Suyu. Meanwhile, Tang Zong and his grandfather boarded the carriage of Zetian Palace. In the dense fog, the Crow region became increasingly peaceful. There was only the sound of hooves and the clashing of swords and armor. Qin Yen and Su Yu walked at the front of the crowd, entering the dense fog outside the city. Ah Yen. Su Er's delicate brows furrowed slightly as she said, "Will the world know of Xiao Yin's painstaking efforts back then? I don't know if the world will understand, but I do." Qin Yen clenched his fists, a cold light shooting out of his eyes as he said, "Tang Lan and Tang Lu colluded with the demon race and gathered an army of 300,000 with the intention of taking advantage of the situation to invade and occupy Lanyan City. This crime is enough for them to die 10,000 times. However, Cousin did not use weapons or poison Tang Lan to death because she did not want the Tang family to carry an irrecoverable crime of treason. Cousin is grateful for Tang Xiaoxi's kindness, but in the end, in exchange for such an outcome, will you blame Xiaoxi?" Surest. Qin Yan's gaze was deep. Xiaoxi has sacrificed so much for the empire. She is so loyal and true. Who can blame her? Su Er said, "Yes, no one is wrong." "Then who is wrong? Is the world in the wrong?" Qin Yen laughed bitterly. "What is wrong is the choice. Princess, she could only choose between Cousin and Tang Lan. Tang Lan rebelled with the intention of mobilizing troops and causing trouble. Cousin had no choice. If Tang Lan was spared, millions of innocent civilians would die. She could only use Tang Lan's life to exchange for the lives of millions of civilians. Xiaoxi similarly had no choice. She is a member of the Tang family and has already done everything she can for Cousin. It's just that I don't understand why she must kill Cousin. It's not that Xiaoxi doesn't understand the Tang family's rebellious intentions. Perhaps there are other reasons." Su Er let out a sigh of relief and said, "All right and wrong will come to light one day. Xiaoxi has protected Lanyan City many times because of her sisterhood towards Xiao Yin. Xiao Yin has painstakingly done so much because she does not want to let down the world and Xiaoxi. This is the only path she can choose. As long as the two of them still have this friendship, there will come a day when the clouds clear and the sun rises. Let's hope so." Qin Yen held onto the reins and suddenly shivered. He tugged at his furry cloak and said, "This year's winter is really unusually cold. Seems like it's going to be another cold winter. The documents from the various regions should be sent out as well. Every half a month, the granaries will be opened to help the commoners. We must get someone to supervise this." Got it. I'll do it personally. Thank you, Aunt Air." Qin Yen puffed on his palm, lifted his head, and looked at the sky, saying, "The world is cold. I wonder how eldest brother and Prince Exin are doing." Chapter 687. Ghost Realm, Netherworld. Swoosh. A beautiful figure flew past, leaving only a remnant mark on the ground that was enshrouded in death aura. Behind her was a group of ferocious ghost dragon leaders and ghost soldiers who were running like wolves on the ground. An unbearable conch horn sounded. It was the soul-destroying conch, a unique artifact in the ghost domain. The sound of the soul-destroying conch could directly attack the soul of a spirit body, making it impossible for ghosts to hide. After all, Qin Yin was still a spirit body. The sound of the soul-destroying conch was almost unbearable to her. Her mind was in chaos, and a murderous intent kept surging. Damn it! She suddenly stopped and forcibly urged the divine power in her body. She opened her palm gently, and suddenly, a bright dragon crystal soared into the sky. With a bang, it struck down a ghost dragon leader that was closest to her from the sky. However, the ghost soldiers on the ground immediately roared and surrounded her. One by one, they leaped high and pounced on Qin Yin's body. Just as Qin Yin's figure was about to be engulfed in a sea of blood, a golden light suddenly blossomed. It was the illusory figure of a huge golden dragon. It roared incessantly and spun rapidly, crushing all the ghost soldiers into dust. This was the fourth technique of the Dragon Slayer incantation, Golden Dragon Flames. The spiritual form of the heaven-suppressing sword condensed in Qin Yin's hand. She suddenly swept it several times, and the sword aura shook between heaven and earth. A group of ghost soldiers were chopped into pieces, wailing and retreating. They watched from a distance of about 10 meters away from Qin Yin. They bared their teeth and roared, but none of them dared to come forward. Huff! There was not much divine power left in Qin Yin's body. She breathed in the surrounding deathly aura. Although she was a god-tier expert, she was still a ghost at the moment. She needed this deathly aura to replenish the divine power she had lost. As she breathed, the twin peaks under her dress rose and fell slowly. The group of ghost dragon leaders were dumbfounded. But at this moment, a vast power silently descended, causing Qin Yin to be unable to move. It was as if a pair of iron hands were tightly gripping onto her body. At the same time, the surrounding temperature plummeted, and streams of dark energy descended, blotting out the sun. Someone had come. Qin Yin slowly raised her head as she urged her divine power to resist the opponent's domain. She looked at the voice that was floating in the air. It was a general from the ghost region who was wearing a dignified armor. Although he was unarmed, the dark divine power around him was swirling rapidly, and his face was filled with a rough smile. "Who are you?" Qin Yin asked. "Puma." The man laughed and said, "No one has ever asked me who I am in my territory. Qin Yin, you are the first. But since you've asked, there's no harm in me telling you. I'm one of the Ghost Realm's sovereigns, the Ghost Emperor of the 5 directions. I'm in charge of the cycle of life and death in the 3 realms. There are nearly 100 abyssal sovereigns, 1,000,000 chiefs, and tens of millions of ghost soldiers under my command. Do you know who I am now?" Qin Yin was stunned. What do you want?" "What do I want?" The Ghost Emperor of 5 directions' laughter became even louder. It was as if he was going to break through the 9 heavens, and the space around him was even slightly distorted by his laughter. He stared intently at Qin Yin and said, "You trampled through the Naraka Bridge, beat up Meng Pe, killed a few of my leaders, and broke the rules of the Ghost Region's underworld. How dare you ask me what I want?" Qin Yin fell silent. "Qin Yin, oh Qin Yin, you are a god with an overgod personality. How could you be reduced to such a miserable state where your soul is scattered and you have to escape into the 6 paths of reincarnation? I, who also have an overgod personality, feel ashamed for you. What on earth caused you to fall to such a state? Mind your own business." After a short rest, Qin Yin took out another dazzling celestial dragon crystal. "This is my domain." The Ghost Emperor of 5 directions roared. "How dare you speak to me like this in my domain? Are you tired of living? Do you think I can't do anything to you if you don't tell me?" As he spoke, the Ghost Emperor of 5 directions suddenly closed his eyes. The black eye on his forehead opened, and it immediately sent chills down everyone's spine. This eye's gaze was like a sharp sword that pierced through the depths of everyone's heart. Qin Yin was no exception. She stood in the air in a daze, unable to move. The eyes of the past was one of the Ghost Emperor's unique skills. It could see through the past of ghosts. However, this unique skill was not very useful. It was just a small trick that he came up with when he was bored. In an instant, as if everything had been seen through, countless thoughts flew through Qin Yin's mind. Scenes of the past appeared once again. In the images, she saw her father, Qin Jin, Lin Muyu, Tang Xiaoxi, Qin Lei, Feng Jixing, and the others. She also saw the scene of her own death. For a moment, Qin Yin's heart was filled with pain. She couldn't help but curl up and scream in pain. After a full 5 minutes, the Ghost Emperor of 5 directions closed his third eye. When he opened his eyes, the contempt in his eyes became even more intense. He said, "Qin Yin, is it worth it for you to do this?" Qin Yin endured the pain and looked up at the ruler of the ghost domain. She said, "It's worth it." Good. The Ghost Emperor of 5 directions suddenly raised his left hand. Suddenly, a towering bloody palm condensed in the air. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions laughed and said, Qin Yin, I'm going to send you to the 18 levels of hell. Are you afraid? Qin Yin didn't say anything, but her eyes were filled with unwillingness and anger. She wanted to see Lin Muyu again, but it seemed that she didn't have such a chance anymore. Qin Yin. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions roared. The bloody palm descended from the sky and landed on the celestial dragon crystal that Qin Yin had taken out. At the same time, he shouted, You're the Empress of the Shattered Cauldron Realm, but you were killed by your subjects. Is it worth it? Bang! The celestial dragon crystal trembled. A golden light wrapped around Qin Yin's body. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions' palm made her fall rapidly. She suddenly smashed through the ground and fell into a fiery hell. The first level was the hell of tongue removal. Countless ghosts with their tongues pulled out wailed in the magma. It's worth it. Qin Yin groaned in pain, but her eyes were still resolute as she gave the answer to the Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions. Her body continued to fall until she hit the ground of the first level of hell with a bang. She smashed a huge pit like a falling meteorite. She continued to fall under the pressure of the Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions' divine power. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions' expression became more and more ferocious. He roared, You care about the people of the world. You don't want to see the Qin Empire in flames of war. But you're criticized for being heartless. Is it worth it? It's worth it. Her body smashed through the thick ground and reached the second level of hell, the Hell of Scissors. A group of ghosts with their fingers cut off were howling in pain. They rushed toward Qin Yin with all their might, but the light around Qin Yin turned them into dust. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions' power was endless. His face was filled with arrogance and anger. He continued to ask, You're the Empress, but you're controlled by your treacherous subjects. You can't make your own decisions. Is it worth it? It's worth it. Qin Yin's palm was burned red, but she still answered stubbornly. With a muffled sound, the two's divine power collided and blasted the bottom of the second level of hell. They rushed to the third level of hell, the Hell of Iron Trees. The barren ground was filled with iron trees. The trees were full of iron thorns that pierced through the backs of the ghosts. The wailing ghosts hung on the trees like wind chimes. It was a tragic sight. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions' expression was ferocious. He continued to ask, Tang Lon deserves to die 1,000 times for his crimes. You gave him a chance to die for the country to preserve the Tang family's reputation, but he was criticized by others. Is it worth it? It's worth it. Qin Yin's body started to burn. The raging flames of death were devouring her legs and arms. With a muffled sound, she fell into the fourth level of hell, the Hell of Mirror Retribution. Countless ghosts were stripped of their bodies, and they wailed under the blazing sun. It was unbearable to look at. They bent their naked bodies and crawled toward Qin Yin. However, they were intimidated by the Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions' might and stopped several dozen meters away. Waves of qi kept surging in the surroundings. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions' divine wave surged endlessly in his palm. He continued to ask angrily, You did everything you could to get rid of Tang Lon and Tang Lu. You unified the world, but in the end, you lost the world. Is it worth it? As long as I'm worthy of my father, it's worth it. Qin Yin's ash-covered face was filled with determination. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions continued to exert force. He brought Qin Yin with him and broke through the 5th level of hell, the Hell of Steamers. Heat surged in all directions. Countless ghosts were being cooked in the steamers, and they screamed miserably. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions clenched his teeth and asked, In order to not let Tang Xiaoxi down, you destroyed your soul and separated from your lover forever. Is it worth it? It's worth it. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions was furious. This was the most stubborn ghost he had ever seen. It was also the most stubborn ghost. If he didn't subdue this ghost today, he wouldn't be able to continue being the Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions. Thus, they descended layer by layer. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions interrogated her again and again. However, the answer he got was exactly the same. Qin Yin wouldn't repent for what she had done. In the blink of an eye, they broke through the 16th level of hell. The next level was the last one, the hell of sawing blades. Countless ghosts were tied to wooden stakes, and the evil ghosts used blades and saws to cut open their bodies. Their screams lingered in the air. The surroundings were scorching hot. Qin Yin felt like her body was about to evaporate. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions roared angrily and asked the 18th question. If I give you a chance to return to the Shattered Cauldron realm, are you willing to be the Empress again and rule over the world? Qin Yin's body trembled. Tears welled up in her eyes. I'm not willing. Why? The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions was taken aback. This was the first time Qin Yin had given him a negative answer. Qin Yin's body and soul could no longer withstand so many collisions. Her body slowly dissipated into starlight. Before she died, she murmured, I love him. I don't want to rule over the world. I just want to stand shoulder to shoulder with him. The Ghost Emperors of 5 Directions, boom! Amidst the deafening sound, the 18th level of hell was broken through, but Qin Yin's body also dissipated, turning into countless stars that filled the pitch-black space. The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions stood there in a daze. He had killed Qin Yin with his own hands, but he didn't feel any sense of accomplishment at all. An abyssal prefect followed behind him and asked respectfully, Your Majesty, should we use the soul-destroying conch to completely destroy Qin Yin's soul? The Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions gently opened his palm. Rays of blue light extended out like ribbons and absorbed the spirit light that Qin Yin had turned into. He said calmly, I asked the 18 questions, and Qin Yin answered them all without any hesitation. She has already been tested by the Purgatory Realm and the Ghost Realm. Forget it. We should not offend the future Master God of Light if we can. After we reconstruct Qin Yin's spirit body, send her into the well of reincarnation. Yes, Your Majesty. However, at this moment, an extremely sinister voice came from behind him. Yo, since when did Your Majesty Ghost Emperor of 5 Directions become so benevolent? You, Ghost Emperor of East Unicorn? Chapter 688. A spiritual thought slowly condensed into Qin Yin's figure in the sky behind the Ghost Emperors of the 5 Directions. She let out a faint sigh and opened her eyes to see a new Ghost Emperor arriving. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor stood majestically in midair, his sleeves fluttering in the wind. His aura was contained, but he didn't release it. There was an awe-inspiring arrogance between his brows. Behind him, there were more than 20 prefects dressed in golden armor, as well as the black mass of ghost dragon leaders in the sky, as well as countless ghost soldiers, soul hunters, impermanents, and other ghost creatures. Wang Lin. The Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions narrowed his eyes and said, This Qin Yin has already passed my test and passed the 18 purgatories. I am the ruler of the 3 realms and the guardian of the Well of Reincarnation. Are you going to meddle in the affairs of the Well of Reincarnation? You've misunderstood. Wang Lin put on a fake smile and said, Although this Qin Yin has passed your test, she has committed too many evil deeds after entering the ghost domain. I think you also know that she killed and seriously injured Granny Meng on the surface, killed many ghost dragon leaders, and killed countless soul hunters. Granny Meng is one of my people. How can she hurt her just because she wants to? Then what do you want? The Ghost Emperor's voice turned cold. Ghost Emperor Wang Lin laughed. The Ghost Realm has its own rules. Even if Qin Yin has an overgod personality, she must follow the rules of the Ghost Realm. Moreover, she only has a fallen overgod personality. Once this divinity completely perishes in the Ghost Realm, the laws of heaven and earth will choose a new ruler, and Qin Yin will be worthless. Ghost Emperor Wang Lin, we've never interfered with each other. You control your life and I control my death, but life and death are incompatible. Qin Yin has committed great crimes in the Ghost Realm, so I must take her to the Nether Spring. That's where she should go. The Nether Spring. The Ghost Emperor shuddered. He knew exactly what kind of place the Nether Spring was. It was the end of all life. Those who entered the Nether Spring had chosen death, and they would die completely. They would no longer exist in the world. You really want to send Qin Yin to the Nether Spring? The Ghost Emperor narrowed his eyes. That's right. The East Unicorn Ghost Monarch stretched his arm, and streams of deathly aura surged around him. He said with a smile, "She has run amok in the ghost domain, and she has already committed a huge crime. How can we let her off? Wu Fang, I advise you not to stick your neck out. Otherwise, if you violate the rules, I'm afraid you and I won't be able to bear the consequences when the heavenly wrath descends." The 5 ghost emperors remained silent. After a few seconds, Dong Lin seemed to be a little impatient. The bloody cracks on his face kept opening and closing, spraying out bloody smoke. He said, "How about it? Have you thought it through? Hand over Qin Yin to me, and everything will be fine. Otherwise, this woman will bring you endless trouble." The Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions' face turned cold. "If you want to send her to the Nether Spring, then I'll leave it to you, but are you really going to send her to the Nether Spring? Otherwise? That's fine too." The 5 Ghost Emperors turned to look at Qin Yin's newly formed body. "Qin Yin, do you know what kind of place the Nether Spring is?" Qin Yin's heart was filled with despair. She had already accepted the teasing of fate. No matter how hard she tried, she would never be able to see the person she loved one for the last time. "Since you understand, then go. You won't feel any pain after entering the Nether Spring." The Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions gave her a deep look. "You've struggled so hard in the human realm, but who has ever felt sorry for you? Rather than struggling to live like this, why not choose death? Perhaps that is the true fate." "I understand. Thank you, Ghost Emperor." Qin Yin nodded and bowed to the Ghost Emperor of the human realm. The Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions turned away with a complicated expression. "Fine, fine. Dong Lin, take her there." "Thank you, Wu Fang Ha." The East Unicorn Ghost Emperor laughed loudly. With a light wave of his hand, an azure lantern appeared in his sleeve. The soul capture cage was activated, and Qin Yin's spirit body let out a miserable groan. In the blink of an eye, she turned into white light and was sucked into the soul capture cage. No matter how strong she was, she couldn't resist the power of death. "Then we'll take our leave." Ghost Emperor Dong Lin handed the soul restraint cage to his subordinate and cupped his fists. "Wu Fang, we'll meet again if fate allows. Of course, you're welcome to visit me at the Nether Spring. We can drink to our heart's content." Wu Fang sneered. "Let's go back to the land of death." Dong Lin laughed heartily. After giving the order, the army of 10 million left the sky above the well of reincarnation. "Your Majesty!" An official lord cupped his fists and said, "Are we just going to let Ghost Emperor Dong Lin snatch our people in our territory? That Qin, her soul is an overgod soul." The Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions clenched his fists and a powerful aura surged out from his body. He widened his blood-red eyes and said angrily, "Dong Lin is going too far just because he's allied with Qishui Ghost Emperor. Then what should we do?" The official lord asked. "Where's Ghost Hand?" "Ghost Hand? That brat is probably cultivating right now. Inform Ghost Hand to set up an ambush along the path to the soul refining pool. Once the Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions arrives, he'll steal Qin Yin's soul restraint cage. Remember, it has to be done quietly. I don't want to completely fall out with Dong Lin. If that happens, I'm afraid a storm of blood will be stirred up in the ghost domain." "Yes, I understand. But Ghost Emperor Dong Lin said that he's going to send Qin Yin to the Nether Spring. Isn't this the opposite of what he wants? If Ghost Hand goes to the soul refining pool, how can he steal Qin Yin's spirit body?" "Ha." The Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions widened his blood-red eyes and said, "Just listen to me. I know what kind of person Dong Lin is. We've known each other for 200,000 years. That greedy bastard is going to let go of the overgod soul in Qin Yin's spirit body? He'll definitely bring Qin Yin to the soul refining pool and let the water in the pool devour Qin Yin's spirit body. He'll refine her overgod soul and make it his own." Then, the Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions narrowed his eyes. Dark energy revolved around his fist and he said, "I'm relying on my darkness overgod soul to establish a foothold in the ghost domain. Once Dong Lin obtains the light overgod soul, I'm afraid he'll make things difficult for me before daybreak. I understand. I'll do it right away. The Ghost Emperor's words scared His Excellency so much that he broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't expect that Qin Yin's arrival would cause such a great disturbance. If he didn't handle it well, a war would probably break out in the Ghost Realm. On the surface of the Yellow Springs path, a figure sped past. It was Lin Muyu. The divine energy in his body had recovered to its peak. The Supreme Godhead was constantly generating new divine energy, giving him endless power to fight. However, there were no enemies in front of him. Moreover, he couldn't find Qin Yin, which made Lin Muyu very upset. Brat, don't go. The Dong Chao am coming. A leader of the ghost dragons shouted from behind. Lin Muyu quickly stopped flying. Waves of air revolved around his body. He saw Dong Chao coming with dozens of leaders of the ghost dragons and a group of ghost soldiers on the ground. However, there were no ghost emperors this time, which surprised Lin Muyu a lot. Well, since he couldn't find Qin Yin, he would get rid of these flies first. Swoosh! Dong Chao turned into a bolt of lightning and flew across the sky. Almost before he could shout, Dong Chao was sent flying by Lin Muyu's heavy punch and smashed a mountain in the distance. The ghost dragon, on the other hand, stayed in the air while roaring. It didn't know that its master had been sent flying by a punch. Lin Muyu gently opened her palm and took out a spirit bead of law. It was a spirit bead of the law of light. The fist-sized spirit bead contained endless power of law. Rays of golden light shot out in all directions and pierced through the bodies of the undead creatures like long swords. Immediately, the group of ghost dragon leaders and ghost soldiers howled miserably and retreated. No one dared to take another step forward. Lin Muyu mounted Dong Chao's mount and grabbed the reins. Instantly, the ghost dragon was scared out of its wits. In the past, it was always ridden by ghosts. Now that it was replaced by a god, it was particularly uncomfortable. Let's go. What are you waiting for? Lin Muyu glared at it. The ghost dragon also turned its head and looked at Lin Muyu. With a roar, it flapped its wings and flew away. But where should she go? Lin Muyu couldn't sense Qin Yin's breath with her spiritual pulse technique. It must be because they were too far away, or the death qi in the ghost realm affected Qin Yin's breath so that she couldn't sense it. Thinking of this, Lin Muyu suddenly had an idea. Yes, she didn't know the rules of the ghost realm, but some people did, such as the old woman who gave people soup at the Bridge of Helplessness. Let's go and find Meng Pa. Lin Muyu clamped the ghost dragon's neck with her legs. Suddenly, the ghost dragon groaned and flew out. The wind was howling. Countless ghosts were waiting to drink soup at the Bridge of Helplessness. Meng Pa stood there with the help of her walking stick. She squinted her old eyes and said, "The wind is so strong tonight. Something big is going to happen. Alas, it's getting more and more chaotic these days. A few days ago, that damn girl destroyed my bridge. Today, I have a feeling that something will happen again." As soon as she finished speaking, the sound of metal and stone cutting through the air came from the sky. Clang! A dazzling long sword pierced into the stone table in front of Meng Pa, all the way to the hilt. In the next moment, a handsome young man leaped down from a ghost dragon in the air and landed on the table with a thud. He looked down at Meng Pa and said, "Old woman, do you know where Qin Yin is?" "Who are you? How dare you call me old woman?" Meng Pa raised her head with a violent expression. However, what she saw was a celestial dragon crystal spinning rapidly in Lin Muyu's palm. Meng Pa felt a chill in her heart. This brat's power actually came from the same source as that little girl's. Moreover, his power was more than a level higher than hers. "Why are you looking for Qin Yin?" Meng Pa trembled with fear. "That's none of your business. I'm only asking, where is Qin Yin?" Meng Pa looked around and saw that the ghost generals and ghost soldiers who usually guarded the Bridge of Helplessness with her weren't saying a single word. Each of them were like frightened quails as they trembled and shrank in place. Meng Pa immediately cursed them 10,000 times in her heart. What a bunch of useless chickens. Chapter 689. She's already been sent to the 18 levels of purgatory. Meng Pa said lightly. "What?" Lin Muyu shuddered. "How is that possible?" She didn't cross the bridge of helplessness. How did she get sent directly to purgatory? The 5 ghost emperors personally sent her there. I don't know anything else. Meng Po's face was sad. Young hero, please leave, I'm just a soup seller. How do I get to the 18 levels of purgatory? Lin Muyu asked. Meng Po stomped her feet. Purgatory is below, but if you want to go down, you have to dig through the thick plain wall. Otherwise, young hero, you can also drink this bowl of soup of mine. After drinking it, you'll forget everything and lose all your cultivation. Then you can enter the gates of hell and reincarnate. How about it, young hero? Do you want a bowl? You can keep it for yourself. Lin Muyu glanced at her. After pulling out the stellar sword, she suddenly moved and flew out. She leaped up violently, raised her sword, and slashed down heavily. A strong destructive light appeared on the blade, and everyone could see a small black ball appear around the young man. It was the spirit pearl of the law of darkness. Bang! The extremely penetrating attack blasted the surface of the ground, going about 10 meters underground. Lin Muyu flipped and jumped in, holding the sword with both hands. Her body spun rapidly, and streaks of sword chi from the law of wind flew out, constantly cutting and grinding the soil and minerals underground. After digging for nearly 100 meters, the sword actually bounced back with a dang. It was the legendary plain wall. As expected, he took a deep breath, and with a mental power, his eyes were plated with a layer of golden light. The black space wall in front of him turned into a grid of 4-dimensional space cubes. Even Lin Muyu could easily see through its mysteries. Behind this space wall was another world. It was the legendary Purgatory. Whoosh! Raising her aura, her long sword flew out, and she used the fire kinesis sword to activate the spiral break and directly smashed into the plane's wall. Under the penetration of the divine power, the wall continuously turned into energy fragments that scattered everywhere. Lin Muyu's body also jumped in, her hands behind her back, and she passed through the plane's wall like a fairy. On the surface, Meng Po and the others were dumbfounded. A rumbling sound came from beneath their feet. It was as if there were 1,000,000 excavators working under the ground of the underworld. It was not an ordinary noise. Moreover, this brat had started digging less than 100 meters away from the bridge of helplessness. How arrogant was he? It had been a long time since the ghost domain had been so lively. That kid really has guts? An abyssal prefect couldn't help but say in awe. Is he going to pass through the 18 levels of purgatory as a living person and meet the 3 ghost emperors underground? You're courting death. The old ghost soldier nodded and said, yes, this kid has guts. Meng Po placed her hands on her hips and shouted angrily, what the hell are you sighing about? Hurry up and get to work. Order people to repair the ground. So many ghosts have escaped. Ghost generals and ghost soldiers, go and catch them. If even one escapes, I'll hold you responsible. Yes, Senior Meng. Senior Meng, how many times have I told you to call me your majesty? The more Meng Po spoke, the angrier she became. She placed her hands on her hips and said seductively, back when I was still young, before you bunch of bastards were even born, I was the flower of the ghost domain. Just ask around, which of the 3 ghost emperors didn't want to marry me? If it weren't for my arrogance, I'm afraid the 3 ghost emperors would have slept with me a long time ago. Just as she was speaking, a dark red silhouette suddenly flitted past in the distance like an arrow. With a pa sound, the other party borrowed the force and left a footprint on Meng Po's beautiful face. After borrowing the force, Meng Po was already flying in the sky. She looked at the large hole in the distance in shock and said, excuse me, did you see a young man carrying a sword pass by here? Meng Po's eyes widened as she stared at the little beauty in the air who was holding a fiery red whip. This girl was ridiculously beautiful. Her beautiful face was definitely a perfect 10, and her figure was exquisite. She was curvy in all the right places, and her breasts were curvy in all the right places. She was definitely a 10. For a moment, Meng Po was filled with sorrow. There's no one more beautiful than me in this world. Damned girl, who are you? Meng Po roared angrily, spittle flying everywhere. The one in the air was naturally Tang Xiaoxi. She held the nation-suppressing whip and smiled innocently. She said, I'm from the human world, and I'm here to find my two good friends. Excuse me, did you see a man carrying a sword? Don't say a word. Meng roared. However, the ghost soldiers and ghost generals behind her had long been mesmerized by Tang Xiaoxi's sexy short skirt outfit. They all pointed at the huge pit and said, Goddess, it's there. That brat just broke through the plane's wall and went to purgatory. If you want to find him. No, Goddess, you can't go find him. This place is also pretty good. Goddess, don't go. As they spoke, Tang Xiaoxi had already turned into a stream of light and entered the huge pit. You bunch of trash. Mengpo was extremely angry. She waved her hands and slapped the faces of the group of people. She scolded, You guys are so infatuated with a shameless little bitch who wears such revealing clothes. You bunch of trash, you bunch of impure people, you bunch of people who haven't broken away from vulgar interests. I'm so angry. The surging flames continuously attacked the tide-like spatial energy in the plane's wall. When the flames turned into a sharp claw and officially tore the plane's wall apart, a beautiful figure appeared in the first level of purgatory. It was Tang Xiaoxi. In front of her was a sea of flames. Tang Xiaoxi's nine-tailed firefox automatically created a protective wall to protect its master. Where is she? Tang Xiaoxi's red lips moved. She was confused. Those people clearly said that Lin Muyu entered from here. Why couldn't they find her? Where did she go? In the distance, a group of ghosts were wailing. Their tongues had been pulled out because they were a bunch of idiots who liked to gossip. Not only did they have their tongues pulled out, but their bodies were also tied to trees. They cried out pitifully, but no one cared about them. People would always make mistakes in their lives. After entering the 18 levels of purgatory, it was time to pay for them one by one. That woman, who are you? On the fiery red ground, a ghost general holding a battle axe roared angrily. Why did you enter the 18 levels of purgatory without permission? Of course, Tang Xiaoxi knew that this person was a general of the ghost realm. However, she wasn't afraid. She stepped on the fire cloud and walked over. She looked down at him and said, Lord of the ghost realm, have you seen Qin Yin and Lin Muyu? Qin Yin? The ghost general squinted his eyes. I've heard of this name, but I don't know about Lin Muyu. Qin Yin has already been sent to the Nether Spring. Why, are you in a hurry to see her for the last time? Nether Spring? What kind of place is the Nether Spring? Tang Xiaoxi was confused. The place where life ends. Those who enter the Nether Spring will never come back. Their lives will turn into nothingness and merge with the qi of the universe, turning into dust. What? Tang Xiaoxi was shocked. She asked again, Just now, Mu passed through this plane's wall. Why didn't I see him when I came here? That's simple. The ghost general sneered and said, breaking through the plane's wall means a space travel. If you didn't come in hand, there would inevitably be some distance between each other. A difference of a thought can be 100 miles. If it's short, it's 7 or 8 miles, and if it's long, it's 10,000 miles. This tongue-pulling hell is very vast. It's 1,200,000 miles from east to west, and 900,000 miles from north to south. Do you want to go find him? 1,200,000 miles. Tang Xiaoxi was shocked. Looks like I can't find him. Then where is the Nether Spring? Nether Spring? The ghost general couldn't help but smile. The battle axe in his hand ignited with strands of flames. He said, Little girl, this is the 18 levels of purgatory. It's a place where ghosts live. Laozi is not a guide. You ask me so many questions. Can you eat my axe? Nope. Tang Xiaoxi raised the nation-suppressing whip in her hand. Without a sound, she whipped the air. The tension of the flames was contained in the sound of the whip. When the ghost general looked down, he saw that the head of the battle axe had already been melted. The other party's strength could be imagined. How much stronger was she than him? Heroine, please spare my life. I'm just a passerby. The ghost general knelt down decisively and knocked his forehead on the ground. I won't kill you. I just want to ask you, where does the Nether Spring go? Heroine, you've asked the right person. I'm the best guide in this tongue-pulling hell. Listen carefully. Walk forward for about 10 miles from here. There's a cave in the shape of a beast's mouth. Inside is the plane's crack. We send ghosts to the second level of hell from such a place. Thank you. You're welcome. This is what I should do. The ghost general stood up and looked at Tang Xiaoxi flying in the air. He actually had a reluctant feeling. Boom. The sword light splattered on the ground of the tongue-pulling hell. The divine power in Lin Muyu's body revolved. The 5 mountains descend from the sky caused the entire plane to tremble. He knew that this was the second level, so he was too lazy to look for the entrance. He just kept blasting through it. In the distance, 2 ghosts who were tied to a tree with their tongues pulled out stared dumbfoundedly. They stuttered as they chatted, "Iwu-wu-ya? What is that brat doing? Woo-wu-ya-woo? I don't know. He's probably too strong and has nowhere to use it. Iya-woo-woo-woo-ya. Look at how anxious he is. Could his girlfriend have been stolen by the Ghost Emperor? Woo-woo-ya-yo. I'm guessing that's about right. Ya-ya-woo-woo-ya. Serves him right." On the side, the ghost generals who were in charge of guarding the place looked at each other. They didn't move. The power of that brat's sword was probably something that even a prefect couldn't resist. With their cultivation, it was better to forget about it. Going over to enforce the law would just be courting death. But at this moment, a group of people flew over from the distance. As expected, a prefect-level powerhouse had arrived. Chapter 690. Brat, what are you trying to do? With a wave of his hand, the Lord took out a long spear with a dazzling light. He said in a very cold voice, "Stop. Do you want to destroy the entire tongue-pulling hell? Go away." Lin Muyu's voice became even colder. "Don't disturb me if you don't want to die." "I heard that you are looking for Qin Yin?" His Excellency sneered. "So what if I am? That little girl Qin Yin has already been sent to the Nether Spring by our East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. Her life has already come to an end, and there's no need for her to reincarnate anymore. Well, could it be that you want to challenge His Majesty?" "What did you say?" Lin Muyu suddenly stopped her attack on the ground. Her heart was in a mess. She asked, "Xiao Yin has been sent to the Nether Spring?" "That's right. It happened 2 hours ago. Her soul should have rotted away in the Nether Spring by now." His Excellency looked at Lin Muyu's sorrowful expression and felt a twisted pleasure in his heart. He laughed and said, "Is she your woman? Ha, interesting, interesting. But today, not only is your woman gone, even your life, I will take it. A mere hierarch dares to act like a tyrant in the ghost domain. I think you are tired of living. Come, I will let you see the power of my wind form, His Excellency." The spearhead trembled slightly. Suddenly, a milky white flower of the law of wind bloomed. Divine power surged. This was also a hierarch with the cultivation of a hierarch. Lin Muyu calmed her mind. Although this wind form, His Excellency, said that Qin Yin had been sent to the Nether Spring, it might not be true. She had to calm down and get through this hurdle first. Behind His Excellency wind form, a group of ghost dragon leaders and ghost soldiers shouted, "All hail His Excellency, His Excellency. Slaughter this stinking brat. How dare he trespass into the ghost domain? He's courting death." Lin Muyu was well aware that the reason why the ghost domain's prefects were so arrogant was undoubtedly because the death chi in the ghost domain would restrain the strength of a living person. Even a god's strength would be greatly reduced in the ghost domain. It would already be considered pretty good if an ordinary god could exert 50% of their strength in the ghost domain. Lin Muyu's supreme godhead was more than a grade higher, so she could exert 80% of her strength. It was more than enough to kill this wind prefect. The wind form, His Excellency, rushed forward and opened up a huge domain field force net around him. It was like a rope that kept binding Lin Muyu's body. At the same time, the long spear in his hand trembled and went straight for Lin Muyu's heart. So ruthless. Did he want to kill her in one strike? In your dreams. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. Her domain aura whizzed out, directly blowing away the domain pressure created by the wind form prefect. Her stellar sword swept past her chest at lightning speed. Dang! Sparks flew, and her opponent's long spear was knocked away. At the same time, her left palm condensed into a blade, and she closed in on Lin Muyu's body. A fierce blow containing raging flames slashed at Lin Muyu's shoulder. Bang! Flames flew everywhere and Wind Form His Excellency suffered a great loss. Intense pain came from his shoulder. Lin Muyu's first move was the 20-layered waves impact. It was extremely difficult for him to endure. However, Wind Form His Excellency was a seasoned fighter. He turned around and stabbed the tip of his spear towards Lin Muyu's lower abdomen. The Dragon Blood Battle Shield condensed in an instant and forcefully blocked Wind Form His Excellency's attack. However, just as the power dissipated, a faint wind surged from the surroundings and coiled around Lin Muyu's body like a long snake. It was Wind Form His Excellency's secret technique. Have a taste of the snake's kiss. Wind Form His Excellency laughed loudly. Lin Muyu was slightly startled. This wind serpent was made up of extremely pure wind energy. Normal power would not be able to shake it off. Thinking of this, Lin Muyu actually gave up on her original defense. She swung her sword backwards and her body shone with a bright golden light. A huge golden wheel appeared from the ground. It was the Sovereign's divine wheel. However, this divine wheel was much smaller than the first time she used it. However, its power did not decrease. After continuous cultivation, Lin Muyu became more and more familiar with this type of energy. Naturally, her control over it also became more and more skillful. The divine will swept out and easily tore apart the wind serpent. As Lin Muyu's palm moved, the divine will flew out and directly attacked Wind Form His Excellency. How is this possible? Wind Form His Excellency was shocked. How could a god of the mortal realm use a divine wheel? That was an ability exclusive to god emperors. Bang! The divine will swept past, and His Excellency Wind spat out a mouthful of blood. He was already seriously injured. As he retreated, he felt a chill behind him. It was a sweep of Lin Muyu's sword. She had directly sliced through the armor on His Excellency Wind's back, and a terrible sword wound appeared on his back. His injuries had worsened, and His Excellency Wind was almost unable to continue fighting. Where the hell is Xiao Yin? Lin Muyu opened her left hand and held the Wind Form Sovereign's shoulder armor in the air as she calmly asked, "Heh, this is the ghost realm, not your mortal world. If you dare to mess around here, you'll die. Although that Qin Yin has the overgod godhead, she's just a ghost. She'll die if she enters the Nether Spring, but if she doesn't, she'll become the exclusive property of us prefects. We'll play with her body and let her experience the ultimate pleasure of the ghost realm." Cough cough, he was courting death. If he continued to provoke the frenzied Lin Muyu with his words, what else could he be other than courting death? Just as His Excellency Wind Form was coughing and speaking, a sharp sword had already pierced through his heart. As a god, his ability to protect himself was very strong. His chest surged with a series of 17 waves to protect himself against Lin Muyu, but how could he withstand it? Lin Muyu had the sovereign godhead, while His Excellency Godhead was just a mortal. Any last words? Lin Muyu asked calmly. F***CKU, His Excellency Wind Form spat out a mouthful of blood. Just as he was about to curse again, Lin Muyu's power exploded. Under the attack of the sovereign godhead, His Excellency Godhead instantly turned into a cloud of blood mist. A golden law of the wind mortal godhead appeared in the air for a moment, and Lin Muyu grabbed it and threw it into her Qianquan bag. His Excellency Godhead. The group of ghost dragon leaders and ghost soldiers were dumbfounded, but none of them dared to step forward. None of them dared to provoke a god who could easily kill an hierarch godhead. Lin Muyu looked at the ghosts indifferently, raised his sword and rushed towards the pit on the ground again. He gathered his divine power and slashed down fiercely. Instantly, the plain wall shook continuously, and after a few consecutive slashes, a large hole was blasted open in the plain wall by Lin Muyu. He rushed in without looking back, without any hesitation. The group of ghost dragon leaders were dumbfounded. What should we do? What kind of god is this kid? He actually killed His Excellency Windform. His Excellency Windform is one of the strongest ghost lords under Ghost Emperor Wang Lin. What else can we do? Immediately report to His Majesty Ghost Emperor. Just say that this kid has entered the 18 levels of hell and has cruelly killed His Excellency Windform. Alright, that's the only way. The second level of the 18 levels of purgatory, Hell of Scissors. Countless sinners who had their fingers cut off were constantly wailing. At the same time, there seemed to be more and more hunters in the sky of Hell of Scissors. Countless ghost dragon leaders and some evil spirits with wings on their backs were constantly flying past. Boom! Suddenly, there was a violent sound of thunder in the sky. Accompanied by lightning and flames, the sky seemed to be torn open. A beautiful girl holding a long whip stepped through the air and looked at the densely packed crowd on the ground in surprise. This Hell of Scissors seemed to be much smaller than the first level. At a glance, one could almost see the end of it. Someone has trespassed into hell. Quick, catch her, it's a woman. There was a clamor in the air, and countless ghost dragon leaders rushed over in a dense mass. Tang Xiaoxi couldn't help but secretly complain. The ghost dragon leaders weren't that scary. The scary thing was their numbers. There were thousands of them. It was easy to kill one ghost dragon leader, but what about after killing 10 or 100? Would they still have the strength to deal with the next danger? Use the spear to throw. The ghost dragon leaders roared one after another. Everyone pulled out a long spear from the pouch on the dragon's back. This was a special kind of spear. There was even a feather at the end of the spear. The tip of the spear was extremely sharp and suffused with a cold light. Tang Xiaoxi hurriedly flew up to dodge. Her beautiful figure was like a butterfly dancing among the flowers, dodging all the spears. However, dense ghost soldiers appeared on the ground, and they were jumping like frogs. Tang Xiaoxi was careless, and one of the ghost soldiers stretched out 100-meter-long tongue and wrapped around Tang Xiaoxi's snow-white leg, making it wet. Ugh, disgusting. Tang Xiaoxi hated this kind of disgusting thing to the bone. With a flip of her palm, the fire laws surged, and a rain of fire actually fell from the sky, igniting the desolate grassland on the ground. Tang Xiaoxi's principle was actually very simple. If it was disgusting, then just clean it up. Furthermore, there was no good person in this scissors hell other than herself. As she set the fire, she looked into the distance. Very quickly, Tang Xiaoxi found a cave shaped like the mouth of a wild beast. Inside, strands of space domain aura leaked out. It was the entrance. However, Tang Xiaoxi did not fly straight over. Instead, she brought a group of ghost dragon leaders and circled around the entire second level of hell. Only after the entire scissors hell had turned into a sea of fire did she leave in satisfaction. Hee hee. A golden light flashed across Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful eyes. She was a nine-tailed demon fox, a demon to begin with. After doing something bad, she actually felt very happy, and the demonic energy in her body also became joyful. On the ground, countless ghost soldiers looked at Tang Xiaoxi and cursed. You monster! Bad thing, you're simply too bad. Which, if you have the guts, take off your skirt and fight me for 500 rounds. However, Tang Xiaoxi ignored them and flew into the entrance of hell, heading to the third level. Bam! Another thunderclap sounded in the sky, and the shadow of a vast sky sword flashed across the sky, as if the sky had been split open by a sword. In the next moment, Lin Muyu, who was wrapped in flames, stepped into this domain. However, when she saw that it was also a sea of fire below, she could not help but frown. What's going on? It's so lively. Chapter 691. Beneath the 18 levels of purgatory, there was a giant pool of blood between the heavens and the earth. This was the legendary soul refining pool. This soul refining pool was originally a blood spring in the underworld. Later generations discovered that the soul refining pool could refine the remaining life force of ghosts, so this blood pool was named the soul refining pool. Since ancient times, it was unknown how many martial artists had their souls scattered in the soul refining pool, becoming a part of someone else's power. Dozens of miles south of the soul refining pool, Ghost Monarch Dong Lin flew across on a blood-red cloud. Behind him, a group of prefects and ghost dragon leaders clustered around the ruler of the ghost realm. Nether flames flickered in the sky. The wind carried mournful howls and death chi. Just like every year for hundreds of thousands of years, under the 18 levels of purgatory, there was only death, no rebirth. Suddenly, thunder rumbled in the sky. Dark clouds rolled in from afar. It seemed that a storm was coming. What's going on? Ghost Monarch Dong Lin looked to the north and frowned. It hasn't rained in the ghost realm for many years. Is it going to rain? An prefect said, Your Majesty, there must be something unusual in the sky. In my opinion, why don't we just throw Qin Yin's soul into the nether spring? Woman's opinion. Ghost Monarch Dong Lin looked at him coldly and said, Qin Yin has the overgod's personality. Although it's only a spiritual body, the soul of the light overgod's personality is in this spiritual body. If I can refine it, I can carry the overgod's personality. Do you know what this means? The prefect shivered. I don't know. This means that the ghost realm only has one emperor. Ghost Monarch Dong Lin looked at the faint thunder in the sky. The storm was coming. He couldn't help but frown, land, go to the soul-refining pool from the ground. This damn weather. The prefect nodded and the soul-restrain cage in his hand flickered. The heavy rain came as expected, splashing on the ghost soldiers. East Unicorn Ghost the Arch looked up at the sky, and an invisible air shield appeared around him, blocking the storm, but his heart was full of helplessness. When he broke through to the 20th level of heavenly abode in the ghost domain, he didn't have the opportunity to comprehend the ability to call the wind and summon the rain. Otherwise, why would he be afraid of this insignificant storm? The ghost soldiers followed the rules and walked on the dark mountain path. The heavy rain poured down, and the weather changed, causing the earth to shake. In the rumbling sound, a section of the mountain path in front of them suddenly collapsed, and hundreds of ghost soldiers fell into the endless abyss, howling miserably. The bottom of this mountain range was a land of death, and no one knew how many years it had been since anyone had entered it. Once they fell in, they would most likely die. Be careful, Your Majesty. A huge rock rolled down from the mountain, and the prefect who was holding the soul-restrain cage in his hand hurriedly blocked in front of him. Streams of dark divine power gathered on his legs, and with a flying kick he sent out a biting cold force, and actually smashed the huge rock into powder. The strength of the people around East Unicorn Ghost the Arch could be seen from this. However, when this prefect was kicking the huge rock, he did not notice a dark shadow flashing past, and the flickering light in the soul-trapping cage also disappeared. The torrential rain was heavy, and everything beyond half a meter could no longer be seen clearly. Thus, no one noticed any of this. Until the storm started to become lighter, East Unicorn Ghost the Arch seemed to have noticed something wrong. He swept his gaze across, and found that the light in the soul-restrain cage had dimmed. He couldn't help but turn pale with fright. Qin Yin's spirit body has disappeared. The prefect was stunned, and looked down at the soul-restrain cage. His face was ashen, and he hurriedly knelt on the muddy mountain path. Your Majesty? I was clearly here just now. How could I disappear just like that? Could it be, when the storm was pouring just now, Qin Yin's spirit body escaped? East Unicorn Ghost the Arch clenched his fists, and said murderously, It's impossible for a spirit body to break free from the soul-restrain cage by itself. It must have been stolen by someone. Bastard, who could steal Qin Yin's spirit body without me noticing? Your subordinate doesn't know. It must be the old 5 Ghost Thearch's doing. Your Majesty, should we go back and reason with the 5 Ghosts the Arch? We lost Qin Yin's spirit body. Haven't we embarrassed ourselves enough? If we go back now, we will only be a joke to the 5 Ghosts the Arch. Send out all the ghost dragon leaders, and use the spirit-chasing mirror to find Qin Yin's spirit body. Yes. Around him, the ghost dragon leaders all flipped over and rode on the back of the dragon. After rising from the ground, they took out a bright mirror from their bosom, grabbed it in their hands, and shook it towards the ground. Immediately, a cold light poured on the ground, and actually saw the cracks in the ground, the mineral veins, and so on clearly. As long as a spirit body appeared, the spirit-chasing mirror would definitely be able to chase after it. Who exactly is it? I am so angry. East Unicorn Ghost Thearka's face darkened. His treasure was actually stolen from his territory. How could he swallow this anger? If he didn't catch this person and swallow him alive, he wouldn't be able to quench the hatred in his heart. At this moment, a fiery red light flew down from the clouds in the sky. It was a ghost dragon leader that had traversed through plains, holding a long whip that flickered with lightning, stopped in midair, and said respectfully, "Your Majesty, something has happened in the 18 levels of hell." "What about the 18 levels of hell?" East Unicorn Ghost the Arch asked impatiently. "Someone broke into the 18 levels of hell without permission, a man and a woman. The man is called Lin Muyu, the woman, no one knows her name for now." "Lin Muyu?" East Unicorn Ghost the Arch frowned, and said, "Excellency Lei Shi, check if there is such a person's name in the heaven realm." To be able to break into the 18 levels of hell, one must at least have the power of a god, otherwise they would have long been turned into lava. Not far away, a golden-armored excellency waved his hand in the air, and instantly, a huge blood-colored book unfolded in his palm. With a hua sound, countless names flashed in the air, like a slideshow. In the blink of an eye, Excellency Lei Shi shook his head and said, "Reporting to your Majesty, there is no record of Lin Muyu in the list of gods in the heaven realm. This person has not ascended yet." "A wild god that hasn't ascended yet?" East Unicorn Ghost the Arch couldn't help but laugh. The gods of the lower realm are really getting more and more daring. To actually dare to break into the ghost realm, then let's make it so that he can't go back. Excellency Lei Shi nodded. "Your Majesty, you want me to go?" East Unicorn Ghost Thearka's lips curled up, and he laughed sinisterly. "To be able to break into the 18 levels of hell, you must have the ability. Don't waste our people, let that blood-sobbing ghost emperor have a headache. The 18 levels of hell is under his control, it has nothing to do with me. Let's go, back to the underworld spring." At the same time, in the 18 levels of Sod Hell, a dusky palace stood in the middle of this deathly silent land. Desolate bones were everywhere, as well as specters that had been cut into pieces by blades. A row of ghost generals with swords in their hands slowly walked out of the main hall. These were the guards of the blood-sobbing hall, and the one who lived in the main hall was naturally blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor. Female specters carried plates of fruits, dried meat, and other items, and entered the side hall in groups. One of them softly said, "Your Majesty, the heart has been delivered to you." Good. On the blood jade bed, a burly man lay down. His body was covered in blood-red scales. He looked like a monster. He slowly opened his eyes, and 2 blood-red tear grooves could be seen at the bottom of his eyes. This was where the name Blood-Sobbing Ghost Emperor came from. He stood up with the support of the bed, and an invisible aura swept across the surroundings. Blood-Sobbing Ghost Emperor coldly said, "You outside, come in." "Yes." An excellency-level servant pushed the door open, and with an ugly expression, he said, "Your Majesty, something happened up there." "Someone broke in, is it?" "Yes." The prefect-class prefect trembled, and his face was filled with fear. A man and a woman both entered the 18 abysses of punishment, and the prefect-class prefect was killed by Lin Muyu. Feng Xing is dead? If he's dead, then so be it. Blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor smiled faintly. "Tomorrow, just pick a strong one from the ghost generals and promote him to an excellency." And here I thought it was something big. "But your Majesty, Lin Muyu will be here soon. Are we just going to sit back and do nothing? And that woman seems to be the reincarnation of the 9-tailed demon fox. If your Majesty doesn't personally take action, the excellency will not be able to subdue them." "I already said it's fine." Blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor frowned, and said impatiently, "The 18 levels of hell is a place that punishes sinners. No matter who Lin Muyu kills, it won't be considered excessive. Who here doesn't have blood on their hands? Send a few ghost dragon leaders to lure Lin Muyu away, and don't let him get close to the desolate palace. Once Lin Muyu leaves the 18 levels of hell, he will naturally find trouble with the 5 forces and Dong Lin. At that time, it will have nothing to do with me. Yes, your majesty is wise and mighty, your name is known throughout the ghost realm. Everyone, leave us, I want to rest for a while. After the crowd left, the blood-sobbing ghost monarch let out a sigh. He went to the side of the pond in the hall and raised his hand. A ray of light rose into the air and formed a human figure. It was none other than the 7 Brilliance demon monarch of the heaven realm. I've already done what you asked. Blood-sobbing ghost emperor looked like he was about to cry. Although he was called a ghost emperor, he was helpless in front of the 7 luminaries demon emperor. As expected of my old friend. The 7 luminaries demon emperor laughed and said, "Don't worry, as long as you don't make things difficult for Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi, I will protect you from the heavens." Blood-sobbing ghost emperor's face was filled with black lines. I'm on the ground, and you're in the sky. How can you protect me? I won't ask for anything else, just let my daughter go. Don't worry, old friend. The day Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi leave the ghost realm is the day your daughter returns. She is eating and drinking well in the heaven realm. What are you worried about? Blood-sobbing ghost emperor's face was bitter. Do you know how many of my people Lin Muyu killed in the ghost realm? Don't worry, name a price, I'll pay. 100 heavenly Dao lattices. This is robbery. The 7 luminaries demon emperor waved his hand. 200 mortal lattices. If you want it, then take it. If you don't want it, then forget it. Deal? Blood-sobbing ghost emperor's face was black. But, if this brat barges into the ancient desolate palace, then don't blame me for being impolite. Ancient desolate palace? Isn't that where you keep your treasures? The 7 luminaries demon emperor was stunned. I heard that the ancient desolate palace is guarded by your 10 prefects. Don't worry, you won't be able to enter. That better be the case, otherwise prepare 100 cast immortal lattices. Dream on, those broken things in your ancient desolate palace aren't even worth 10 cast immortal lattices. Don't think that I don't know anything. All right, telekinesis consumes too much divine power, let's talk next time. As he spoke, the 7 luminaries demon emperor's expression suddenly became serious. Blood-sobbing, you is my only brother in this world. Don't hurt him, otherwise, you know the consequences. The light mist dissipated, and the conversation ended. Blood-sobbing ghost emperor no longer had a smile on his face. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's last sentence was said casually, but blood-sobbing ghost emperor knew the weight of these words. The reason why the 7 luminaries demon emperor was called demon emperor was because there was nothing in this world that he didn't dare to do. Tens of thousands of god emperors killing their way into the ghost realm, messing up the laws of the 3 realms, this wasn't something he couldn't do. Chapter 692. The 17th level of Hell, Grindstone Hell. There was only silence in the wilderness, and there was nothing but emptiness. However, there was a small plaza every few miles, and the plaza was filled with huge millstones. The bodies of the ghosts were placed into the millstones, and their bodies were ground into minced meat. Then, the bodies were reconstructed and ground again and again, as if they were concocting medicine. However, the scene looked too cruel. At the northern border of the Grindstone Hell, there was a pitch-black castle. Several black crows perched on the roof tiles, cawing loudly. Around the castle, there were 5 abyssal prefects dressed in golden armor guarding it. All of them were mounted on fine horses and equipped with swords. All of them had ashen expressions as they stared at the sky. Over there was a faint rumble of thunder, and rays of sword light flashed, striking against the spatial walls. He's coming, that brat is finally coming. What should we do? A dark-skinned official lord frowned and said, this is too coincidental. That brat actually landed right above the ancient Desolation Palace? Once he enters the ancient Desolation Palace, I'm afraid we won't be able to bear the consequences if Lord Ghost Emperor blames us. Another official lord had already slowly pulled out his sword and said, what else can we do? Everyone, go forward and stop this brat at all costs. We can't let him get close to the ancient Desolation Palace. Everyone pulled out their swords. After the official lord gave the order, The tens of thousands of ghost dragon leaders in the distance also took off and hovered in the air like a group of vultures fighting for a piece of meat. Bang! Lightning flashed, and a long sword with dazzling star power pierced through the sky. It forcefully created a pitch-black hole, and the wall of the plane was already broken. In the next moment, a handsome figure leaped in. If it wasn't Lin Muyu, who else could it be? Good heavens! Seeing tens of thousands of ghost dragon leaders in one glance, Lin Muyu was immediately shocked. The 17th level of Purgatory was much more ostentatious than the 16th level. After all, there were only 12 ghost dragon leaders chasing her on the 16th level, and all of them were killed. Her eyes were covered with a layer of golden light, and the 12 spirit beads of law broke out of her body. Without hesitation, Lin Muyu swooped down. Her sword brought out streams of sharp sword energy that wreaked havoc in the crowd. Although it was only 20 levels of divine waves, the spirit beads of law contained the purest divine power in the universe. How could these chaotic practitioners in the ghost realm be a match for it? In the blink of an eye, dozens of ghost dragon leaders had died. The star sword turned into a soaring flame that cut through the crowd and landed on the ground. Coincidentally, its target was the desolate ancient palace. Bastard! The black-faced His Excellency shouted loudly. He raised his sword and soared into the sky. His divine power circulated rapidly and instantly condensed into a huge black shield. He wanted to use his cultivation to protect the desolate ancient palace. Bang! When the swords collided, flames burst out and filled the sky. Countless ghost dragon leaders hurriedly retreated. They had already realized that this was a battle between gods. With their strength, they could not intervene at all. They were not even qualified to be cannon fodder. Wah! The black-faced His Excellency spat out a mouthful of blood. Lin Muyu's attack was mighty and forceful. It was beyond his endurance. In the sky, the wind was howling. Lin Muyu held the longsword. Her eyes were filled with ruthless golden light. She said indifferently, "All of you, get out of the way, or you will all die." The power in his body was surging. Ever since he learned that Qin Yin was sent to the Nether Spring, he had entered a frenzied state. He crazily overdrew the power of his supreme godhead. At this moment, his strength was not only twice as strong as when he first entered the ghost realm, but it was also 3 times or even 5 times stronger. So much so that no His Excellency could withstand a round of Lin Muyu's fierce attack. Lin Muyu. The black-faced His Excellency wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He raised his long sword and said, "The person you are looking for is not here. This is the Ghost Emperor's ancient desolate palace. The Qin Yin you are looking for is in the Nether Spring. Why are you wasting your time and energy on us? Your enemy is the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. Do you understand?" Lin Muyu's gaze shifted to the ancient desolate palace. What was in this inconspicuous ancient castle? He couldn't help but sneer, "You guys are guarding this hall. Who knows if Xiao Yin is imprisoned in here? Get out of the way." Impudent! The black-faced His Excellency roared, "Do you know where this place is? This is the Ghost Realm, the resting place of the Ghost Emperor. How dare a rogue god like you act so arrogantly? This is the last time. Get out of the way," Lin Muyu said coldly. The black-faced His Excellency and the other 4 His Excellency had ugly expressions. It was impossible for them to stop Lin Muyu now. If they didn't stop her, none of them would be able to bear the punishment from the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor. Right at this moment, a voice came from the sky. "Forget it. Let him go in and take a look. If Qin Yin isn't here, he should leave." "Yes, Ghost Emperor." The group of ghost generals and ghost soldiers all knelt down. However, they knew that the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor wasn't here. That was just a voice transmission from him. Swish! Lin Muyu turned into a beam of light and rushed into the desolate ancient hall. Holy light lingered around her, and in the next moment, she was already inside the hall. Immediately, Lin Muyu was shocked. So many treasures! The small space had everything. Just the shelves for weapons and armors alone had more than 10 rows. Lin Muyu was an expert. He could tell at a glance that these weapons were at least of the mysterious rank. There were even a few saint rank weapons. However, he wasn't a greedy person. Naturally, he wouldn't search for other people's treasures here. Moreover, this trip was only for Qin Yin. Thus, he turned a blind eye to the saint rank weapons and armors. Instead, his eyes fell on a blood-red rope. This was a spiritual rope. When Lin Muyu reached out to grab it, he could feel its power. Under the shelf for the rope, there was a wooden sign with 3 simple words: Spirit Binding Rope. With a light wave of the spirit binding rope, it immediately spun in the air as if it had a mind of its own, as if it was trying to bind something. It was indeed a good treasure. It could even bind an opponent. Lin Muyu was overjoyed. This was something he needed, so he immediately put it into his clothes. The spirit binding rope had already surpassed the knowledge of weapons forging in the human world. Strictly speaking, it should be an artifact and not a weapon. At this time, Lin Muyu's eyes fell on a pitch-black bell next to the weapon shelf. The wooden sign next to it had 3 words: Spirit Frightening Bell. As the name suggested, this item was specially used to deal with ghosts. It was a good item. At least in the ghost realm, it was an exceptional treasure. He grabbed the spirit frightening bell and put it into his cosmos sack. There was no time to waste. He broke through the door with his sword and rushed out from the other side of the ancient desolate palace. He raised his sword and blasted open the surface of the ground. After several slashes, the entire plain shook. Blood-sobbing Hall. Blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor trembled with anger when he saw Lin Muyu take away the spirit-binding rope and spirit-frightening bell. These 2 artifacts could be said to be one of the most precious treasures in the ancient desolate palace. Yet they were taken away by this brat. How could this be? The official sovereign at the side said in a low voice, "Your Majesty, he has begun to break through the plain wall of the 17th layer of hell. He will soon arrive at the 18th layer. What should we do? Let him continue to run amok like this? We have already lost many ghost generals and ghost pawns." Blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor's expression was cold. "He trespassed into my territory and took my treasures. How can I let him off so easily? Immediately pass down my decree. Turn the wheel of time and change the order of the plain wall. Send Lin Muyu directly into the cave of hungry ghosts. The 7 luminaries demon emperor won't let me touch him. However, if Lin Muyu dies in the hands of wild ghosts, then don't blame me." Cave of hungry ghosts? The official sovereign couldn't help but tremble. A trace of horror flashed across his face. He said, "In the cave of hungry ghosts, the ghost king that was imprisoned for 30,000 years is there. That's right. Send him into the cave of hungry ghosts. Do it immediately." The wheel of time was a majestic wheel on the ground. It was slowly turning under the push of a group of ghost pawns. The official sovereign at the side saw it clearly. He suddenly raised his hand and said, "Stop. It's here." At the same time, a sword light flashed across the sky. However, this time, Lin Muyu didn't appear in the 18th layer of hell. Instead, the space was distorted and she was directly sent into the cave of hungry ghosts. Swoosh. After traveling through space, the surroundings suddenly changed from daytime to darkness. Moreover, the aura of death became even denser. Ghostly wails and wolf howls could be heard all around. The air was very humid. "What's wrong?" Lin Muyu frowned. She raised her palm, and a celestial dragon crystal glowed, illuminating everything around her. A very frightening scene appeared. This was a huge abyss. The stone walls surrounding the abyss were entrenched with clumps of vines. Between the vines, there were actually hungry ghosts crawling. Some of the hungry ghosts didn't have heads, some didn't have eyes, and some had their mouths sewn up. In any case, none of them could be seen. When these hungry ghosts smelled the scent of a living person, they immediately crawled over while whining. Some even flew up. It was very frightening. Get lost. No matter how brave Lin Muyu was, she was still afraid. With a swing of the long sword in her hand, the law of light sword chi swept across. Dozens of hungry ghosts were cut into puffs of blood mist and exploded. After all, the power of a little ghost couldn't be compared to that of a god. Looking up, the sky was boundless. The only way forward was down. He didn't know where the quiet spring was. He could only take one step at a time. Since the quiet spring was the end of life, it should be in the deepest place, right? It was pitch black here, and it might be very close to the quiet spring. Thinking of this, Lin Muyu gritted her teeth, raised her sword, and rushed down. Maintaining her body relaxed, the supreme god power turned into raging flames and formed a protective aura to burn the hungry ghosts that were attacking her. Her entire body was like a ball of flame as she killed her way to the bottom of the cave of hungry ghosts. Heaven Realm, illusory heavenly lake. Looking at the reflection of Lin Muyu charging into the cave of hungry ghosts, the 7 luminaries demon emperor couldn't help but sneer. That bastard blood-sobbing ghost emperor, he wants to use the hungry ghosts to get rid of you? He's underestimating me too much. Sun Feng said, Demon Emperor, are you really not going to make a trip to the ghost domain? This subordinate just feels that as long as East Unicorn Ghost Emperor, 5-Direction Ghost Emperor, and Blood-Sobbing Ghost Emperor take action, they can easily kill Lin Muyu with their strength. Isn't this a little inappropriate? No. The 7 luminaries demon emperor shook his head. The gods of the heaven realm are not allowed to enter the ghost domain without permission. Don't try it rashly. I don't want to attract the pursuit of the gods of the heaven beyond Avalon. Then what do we do now? Don't worry, I have other ways. The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled and said, Is Ziyao back yet? She's coming back soon. Chapter 693. After the torrential rain, the sky of the ghost region actually felt a bit brighter. Apart from the ferocious ghost dragons flying through the sky, it could be considered peaceful and tranquil. A bone-chilling voice came from a cave beneath a black mountain range. You are my chief god divine core. No one can take you away from me. It was a monster that looked like a human, but it was naked like a wild ape. Its body was hunched and very thin, and its skin was tattered. There was almost no part of its body that was more than the size of a palm that was intact. Black crystals were embedded in its tattered flesh. They were illusionary crystals, unique crystals that could conceal everything in the world. This was none other than Ghost Hand, who was sent by the ghost emperors of the 5 directions to steal Qin Yin's spirit body. However, Ghost Hand didn't bring Qin Yin's spirit body back to the well of reincarnation. Instead, he tried to take it for himself. Ghost Hand was good at concealment and stealing treasures. He could even escape the eyes of East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. And the price he had to pay was his current appearance. He was neither human nor ghost. This was the result of having over 100 fabrication crystals embedded in his body and overdrafting his life force. Hiss, hiss. At the entrance of the cave, a giant lizard crawled in and stood up in the blink of an eye. It was a middle-aged man with a face covered in terrifying scales. He knelt in front of Ghost Hand and said, Big brother, the ghost emperors of the 5 directions have sent over 10,000 soldiers to patrol the surroundings. It seems like they have found out that you don't want to return the overgod spark. That arrogant idiot. The corners of Ghost Hand's lips curled into a sinister smile. He held a ball of holy light in his hand and said, This is Qin Yin's spiritual body, the vessel of the overgod spark. As long as I refine this overgod spark, I'll be the ruler of the entire ghost realm. What can a mere ghost emperor do? The lizard man cackled and said, But big brother, you have to be careful. The 5 directions isn't that simple. As long as he opens the celestial eye, nothing in the world can hide from him. Moreover, countless ghost dragon leaders are patrolling the sky with spirit-chasing mirrors. If they find the whereabouts of Qin Yin's spirit body, I'm afraid the ghost emperors of the 5 directions will find this place in 30 minutes. Don't worry. Ghost Hand looked up at the ceiling of the cave and said, This mountain range is a silver mine. The silver here is close to 300 meters thick, enough to reflect the light of the spirit-chasing mirror. They won't be able to find this place. Little 8, protect me. Big brother is going to refine Qin Yin's spiritual body here and obtain the overgod divine spark. As long as I can become the new ghost emperor, you will be the new ghost king. The lizard man was overjoyed. He stuck out his tongue and said with a smile, "Then it's all up to Big Brother. I'll go out and protect you." The cave fell silent once more. Ghost Hand held the crystal that was Qin Yin's soul and couldn't help but laugh. "Over God's spark, you're mine." "Ha, you're mine." However, at this moment, Qin Yin's voice sounded from within the crystal. "Disobeying the orders of the 5 ghost emperors is already a crime punishable by death, and now you're dreaming of refining me? You're Qin Yin?" Ghost Hand was stunned, then he smiled. "You're just a ghost imprisoned in a soul crystal. Your death is coming soon. Just wait and see." Energy swirled above the crystal, and Qin Yin's beautiful face appeared faintly. "Very well, I'd like to see how you're going to refine my godhead, you wretched person. Don't scold me." Ghost Hand gritted his teeth and pulled out a space bag from his waist. After rummaging around, he suddenly smiled. Soon, he took out a furnace with a diameter of about. The furnace was enshrouded in blood-colored magic incantations. It was clearly not an ordinary item. "See, do you recognize it? This is the legendary ghost refining furnace. It has the same effect as the soul refining pool. You're just a little ghost. Can you escape the fate of becoming a godhead in the ghost refining furnace?" The more Ghost Hand thought about it, the happier he became. He threw his head back and laughed. The rotten flesh on his abdomen trembled, and it was indescribably disgusting. Qin Yin also fell silent inside the crystal. She really couldn't face the scene in front of her. Swoosh! An enchanting flame appeared in the sky of the 18th level of hell. It was Tang Xiaoxi's 9-tailed divine power. The divine power turned into a fire fox's sharp claws and struck the ground, forcing dozens of ghost dragon leaders back. She stood majestically in the air and looked around with her beautiful eyes. This is the 18th level of hell? We're showing. Tisk, that woman is so arrogant. Do you know what will happen to her for trespassing into the ghost realm?" An abyssal prefect rushed over from afar. He held an iron rod in his hand. The tip of the iron rod was embedded with a spike. It was obvious that he wasn't someone to be trifled with. The wind whistled as the iron rod went straight for Tang Xiaoxi's chest. Puff! With a soft sound, the iron rod seemed to have penetrated Tang Xiaoxi's body. However, it was just an afterimage. The next moment, Tang Xiaoxi's real body had already climbed along the iron rod. She smiled at the abyssal prefect like a beautiful demon fox. Her sharp claws turned into a pink fist, and the moment she passed by, she punched the back of the abyssal prefect's head. Boom! Amidst the crisp sound, the flames turned into a whirling wind. A total of 21 divine waves of the law of fire swirled endlessly in the back of the abyssal prefect's head. He let out a muffled groan and fainted just like that. His body fell from the sky and fell heavily into the wilderness. Tang Xiaoxi's 20 levels of divine power of fire was not very powerful, but when combined with the divine power of the 9-tailed divine power in her body, it was extremely terrifying. Swoosh! The flames swept past their ears. The group of ghost dragon leaders were dumbfounded. Tang Xiaoxi's movement speed was too fast as lightning. In the next moment, a ghost dragon leader was grabbed by the collar by Tang Xiaoxi. A pair of bright eyes looked at the ghost dragon leader. Tang Xiaoxi asked, "Do you know where Qin Yin is?" "Qin Yin has been sent to the Nether Spring." The ghost dragon leader replied in a trembling voice. "Nonsense, how could Xiao Yin be sent to the Nether Spring?" Tang Xiaoxi widened her beautiful eyes and said, "I'll give you a chance to say it again." The ghost dragon leader was a little confused and said, "Then, I guess Qin Yin must have been rescued from the hands of the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. She is now somewhere at the bottom of the ghost domain. Beauty, as long as you go there, you will definitely find her." "That's right." Tang Xiaoxi revealed a satisfied smile and said, "How do I go to the bottom from here?" "Over there is a volcano plane passage. You can pass through it." The ghost dragon leader stretched out his hand and pointed into the distance. There was indeed a surge of flame power. "At least you know what's good for you." Tang Xiaoxi raised her hand and threw the ghost dragon leader away. The flames around her skyrocketed, and she turned into a meteor and fell into the volcano in the distance. The flame aura protected her body. She kept falling, and at the same time, her heart was in a panic. Was there any use in deceiving herself? If Qian was really sent to the Nether Spring by the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor and was annihilated, it would be difficult for her to atone for her sins in this life. Thinking of this, she became even more confused. Just as her body entered the magma, she sighed softly and said, "If I can't save Xiao, then Mu, you must do your best. Xiao has lost her father and the world. She only has the two of us. We must save her." The heavens had taken pity on her. Tang Xiaoxi had said so, but wasn't she the same? After losing all her loved ones, she was also alone. All her worries were with Lin Muyu and Qin. She hated the enchantress to the core. She hated the fact that her heart had wavered and allowed the enchantress to take advantage of her weakness. Time was like water, diluting many things, especially hatred. Back then, Tang Xiaoxi hated Qin for sending Tang Lan to die in the 100 Ridge City. But now, as she grew older, Tang Xiaoxi finally understood some things. If she was in Qin Yin's shoes, what would she do? Would she let Tang Lan and Tang Lu rebel and cause chaos in the world? She was afraid that she would have already sent troops to kill the entire Seven Seas clan. In terms of decisiveness in killing, Tang Xiaoxi was much stronger than Qin Yin. But the world made fools of people. The feudal lord who played with power was her grandfather. It was hard for Tang Xiaoxi to give up. She could only let fate decide. In the end, fate made fools of people, causing everyone to fall into a situation of eternal damnation. We will definitely get out of here alive, won't we? In the magma, Tang Xiaoxi, who was flying through the magma, suddenly revealed a confident smile. That's right, I must firmly believe that the future will become better, and I must return to the beautiful life of the past. Otherwise, how will I face the demons and monsters in front of me, and the evil of the ghost Dao? Swoosh, swoosh, the fierce, fiery red hurricane constantly battered the stellar energy on the surface of her body. Lin Muyu held her long sword and continuously descended into the depths of the cave of hungry ghosts. However, the fiery red hurricane seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. Even the vengeful ghosts in the surroundings didn't dare to get close. Moreover, this was not ordinary wind, but dimensional wind. It was similar to Feng Jixing's attack. When it hit the protective stellar energy, it consumed a lot of divine power. Phew! Taking a deep breath, Lin Muyu turned around and left the center of the cave of hungry ghosts while her body was recovering. She couldn't force her way through. Otherwise, she would probably die from depleting all her cultivation before she even saw Qin Yin. After flying to the stone wall, she turned around and saw a fiery red hurricane shooting into the sky from the center of the cave of hungry ghosts like a pillar of fire. Those who entered the cave of hungry ghosts could only fly along the stone wall. Otherwise, they would be quickly devoured by the dimensional storm. Not to mention a godly venerable one. Even a god emperor would die from depleting all their divine power. Lin Muyu held the star's sword in her hand and slowly descended while maintaining an upright posture. She observed the surroundings of the stone wall to see if it was safe. However, she saw that the stone wall was covered with vines, and between the vines were countless surprises. All sorts of wild ghosts and skeletons were waiting for her. It was unknown how many years these ghosts had been starving. They were all skin and bones, scarily thin. A zombie with half its head bitten off climbed the vines with one hand and extended its other hand towards Lin Muyu. It seemed to want to taste the stranger. There was a big hole in its head, and its flesh had already rotted away. Stink. Lin Muyu frowned. What the hell was this? You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.